Down Chiefs, brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com. Welcome to episode 12 of season 11. This is episode number 388 all-time of the often imitated, never duplicated, Don't Hate Us Because We're Beautiful. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thank you to RockinThatIDLife.com, StrikeWithMike.com, and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at Let'sGoBlues.com for the very best in blues-themed t-shirts at a fair price. It is Wednesday, December 14th, and we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle is on the socials is at LGB Radio. Just do a search for us, you'll find us. And if you haven't already done so, please like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, buy a t-shirt from our shop, run a 5K, do whatever you got to do to support the show.
Run a 5K, you say?
Run a 5K, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Half marathon, 5K?
Yeah, why not?
A fun run? Whatever you want to do.
Just, here's an idea. Maybe for the next 5K I run, I'll just have I'll get these poles put on my shoulders, and I'll have a TV over my head, and I'll just have our latest show just going. And that way all the runners can be like, oh my God, that's such a great show. I'm glad he did this.
Yeah. You're going to have this like a screen? You're talking about the video?
Yeah,
so people behind you can watch it, so everyone.
Or I could just carry an old school boom box and just have the audio playing.
All right, you could do a streaming video of the show on a monitor above your head, have it facing behind you. Everyone there will want to watch the show, and then you'd win. They'd run behind you.
That is the way to go. Or everybody will just be running away to get away from it, and I'll finish last. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Let's test this.
Actually, realistically, come on, let's be honest. You probably, it'd get too heavy. The TV would fall. The monitor would fall. Break. You couldn't finish the race. It'd fall on your foot. You'd be a mess.
No, I would still finish because that's how I am. I'm a man.
Let's see. I'm Kurt Price. My co-host for the big show tonight is Jeff Ponder. Bill Day is on assignment. The agenda for tonight includes discussion about Jordan Binnington's 100th career win. The Blues take 3 or 4 points versus Colorado and Nashville. The smaller than anticipated salary cap increase next season could cause issues for the Blues. And we'll talk about a proposed NHL 3-game play-in series for the playoffs. All that and more on this episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Jeff, you're looking quite dashing in your Christmas jacket.
This is one of my favorite items of apparel that I own. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I wore it, I remember, for one episode last year, and I don't know if I told the story, but if I did, you're going to hear it again. Literally went into Target on Black Friday I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. So it had to be 3 years ago, because obviously 2020 there was none of that. And so 2019, I walk in, I see this, and it's a whole set. It's the jacket, there's a tie with it, there's pants, and I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But I'm like, no, you don't need to waste your money on it. I sat and thought about it, this stupid thing, for 4 days. And then finally the following Monday, I was just sitting thinking about it while I was working from home. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You are going to keep thinking about it till you go buy it. So I had to go up on my lunch break and just go to Target just to buy this. And I'm glad I did. Here we are 3 years later, and I'm still wearing it every year.
Still fits. What's on it? You got Santa Claus skiing Santa. Is that what it is?
It's like a
goggles?
skiing Santa. It's got little Christmas trees, little snowballs, and it's Santa with the skier shades on.
Very festive. Bright red.
Yes. Bright red. Figure I wear a green shirt with it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And no hat. I expected a hat. Just
I got one right here. I almost put it on. Should I put a hat on?
to complete the ensemble.
All right, fine. I'll do it.
Whatever. I mean,
here she is, right here.
yes. Yeah. You got to put the hat on.
All right.
For the YouTubers. For the viewers of the show on YouTube. You like Kevin? Okay. I was going to say you're.
This
Gotta
thing
manage
is
the
hard
balls.
to.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to
The
do
tail.
this not on a commercial break.
Sure.
Okay,
There
here
you
we go.
It's much better. Yeah. Oh, glad.
right.
Yeah. It's much better.
Ready to roll.
You should wear that on Friday.
Maybe. What's going on Friday, Kurt?
Friday. How about that segue, huh? This Friday at Cardinals Nation, there's a Christmas party that's going on, being put on by DJ Joe, starting at 6 p.m. on the first floor of Cardinals Nation. They're almost sold out. If you can't get a table, there will be available seating at both bars. This is going to be an actual holiday party that promises to be a lot of fun. It's more of it's kind of a thank you to the patrons of Cardinals Nation and the Cardinals themselves for everything that goes on during the St. Louis Cardinals season, Cardinals Nation, because DJ Joe does a great job for the official pregame party of the St. Louis Cardinals over there at Cardinals Nation before every home game. There's going to be prizes and giveaways nonstop all night long, with some great prizes like autographed memorabilia and merchandise from their liquor and beer sponsors and stuff like that. Opening day tickets be available for the Cardinals. So everyone who attends will have a chance to win. And you don't have to not tickets. You just make a reservation. It's just free to get in. So great discounts on food and drinks, and there's 3-hour validated parking as well at Ballpark Village there. So should be a lot of fun. DJ Joe promises, and this is his quote, "This will be insanely fun, lively, and packed with 250 Cards and Blues fans. He's going to put on an extreme show."
Extreme
show. A show of shows, he calls it.
Oh boy.
Be the show of shows.
That should be fun. Yeah, it's not, for those of you interested in coming, it's not a live Let's Go Blues radio like it was last time. But we're going to be a part of it. We're involved. We're friends now, I guess you can say we're friends of the show with Cardinals Nation.
Show.
Yeah. But no, I'm very happy. This will be a lot of fun on Friday. Looking forward to it. I don't know if you can tell, Kurt, but I kind of like the holidays. I kind of enjoy the parties. I like all of it. So it should be a really good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you can reserve a table. There's literally 1 or 2 tables left. So if you want a table, you can call Cardinals Nation at 314-345-9880, or you can use Open Table, the app Open Table if you're familiar, or just show up and grab a spot at one of the 2 bars. So there should be spaces there, and you can just come in and mingle around, grab a drink and mingle. You don't need a table, you can hang out at the bar or whatever. So it should be a lot of fun.
As far as I know, if you've ever attended one of Joe's shows before, like the pregame parties for the Cardinals games, it's fairly, I don't want to say, is unstructured the right word, Kurt? It's not like it's like
loosely
at 6:15 we're doing this. It's
loosely structured.
It's not like that. It's typically we're gonna have people up and play games here and there. We'll chat here and there, and it's just a good time. It's just a good, fun time to kick back and enjoy a beer. And like Kurt said, this will be Friday nights. The Blues will be on at 8:00, so you can sit and watch the game with us. It's going to be a really good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, and I think Joe's going to be walking around mingling. We'll do trivia. I hear there's going to be some trivia. The Blues game will be on at 8:00 there. So you Blues fans, which our audience is, show up, hang out 6:00, 6 to 8, party, and then the Blues game will be on there, so we can all watch the game together. So that'd be kind of cool too. So fun will be had by all. The show of shows. An extreme show of shows.
shoes.
The extreme show of shows. Lots of giveaways. Lots of fun. Joe is a funny guy. He does a good job. The most deadpan funny guy I know.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
He pulls it off quite well.
No, it's funny because I remember, and I think I've even told him this, the first time that I went up to one of his pregame parties, and I had never even met him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what to expect with one of those parties. I walk up and I'm with my wife, and we're standing there like getting ready to like have our ticket checked, and I hear Joe over the microphone, and I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like it's gonna be the most boring party ever. And then like as I walk up and start listening to what he's actually saying, I'm like, okay, this guy's got potential. And by the end of the show, I was severely disappointed. He's the worst. No, I say that as a joke. He's fantastic. We have a lot of fun with Joe. His show is so much fun. So I'm, again, very much looking forward to Friday. Always a good time with Joe.
And again, you can call Cardinals Nation to reserve a table, 314-345-9880, or use the Open Table app. Or if it's, if there are no tables available or you don't want a table, just show up, grab a spot at one of the two bars, grab a drink, walk around, mingle, have fun, answer some trivia, win some prizes, or just be there to win prizes, play a game and win a prize.
And I'll add this too. If you're there and you are there because you're like, oh, I heard about this Let's Go Blues Radio, please come up and say hi to us. We've literally had situations where people afterward, I think you've had the same thing, Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
After seeing us out, they'll send us a tweet. Hey, I saw you, but I didn't want to say anything. Please come up and say hi. We want to meet our audience. So it'd be, we put this show out. We see the numbers, but we don't actually get to meet the people. So if you're out there and you see us out there, please stop by the table we're at. Say hi. If you're cool enough, we'll buy you a drink even. Those are some high standards, though.
I'm going to leave my wallet at home just so I don't have to participate in that.
So I'm buying your drinks all night.
You did say you're the one that volunteered that information on the air. So, yeah.
No. Well, I mean, like I said, you got to meet my high standards.
Okay. Well, see, now you're going to upset people that don't get a beer bought for them. Oh, I didn't meet his high standards.
I guess I'm not cool enough. No, I can't promise I will buy everyone a drink. But when the beer is flowing and it's the holidays, I am known to do that and then regret it later.
First floor, Cardinals Nation, Ballpark Village, Friday, 6 p.m. Be there. Let's see. Official beers of episode number 388. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle's at CPrice12. Jeff's is JPonder94. Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. Jeff, what do you have this evening, sir?
There's a lot going on in the chat right now.
I have it open.
Jeff, you buying me a beer from Austin Lynch? No, son, you are too young. That ain't happening. And Ken Morris asks, hey, where's Bill? So Bill is actually, he's actually covering Alex Ovechkin in Chicago.
He's traveling with Ovechkin, yeah.
Yeah, he's following Ovechkin around until he passes Howe. So that's why he is not
be
here.
a while.
Yeah. Well, he's got one goal till he passes Howe.
Oh, Howe. I was thinking Gretzky. I was like,
yeah,
he's going to be on the road about 2.5 seasons.
Yeah, you won't see Bill for a while. No, he'll be done as soon as he passes Howe. But anyway, no, he is out sick, unfortunately.
Yeah,
he's okay, but not feeling well. Anyway, so my beer of the episode was one that I just found over the weekend. The Smooth Collider from Boulevard Brewing Company. It is a smoothie sour with strawberry, banana, and vanilla flavors. Let's see if it's got a description here. It does not. But I can tell you it is very good. Basically, half the week for lunch, I make myself strawberry and banana smoothies because, I just love them. So when I saw this, I'm like, I don't like sour beers, but holy cow, I bet that's fantastic. And it is. It is very good.
What are the flavors again? I'm not a sour beer fan either, but
strawberry, banana, and vanilla. And it's literally a smoothie blend.
Okay. The only sour I ever really liked was one Center Ice Brewery had, and I was shocked. It was delicious. I forgot what it was
the
even.
name of that one?
It was good.
I remember
tastes like-
you told me it, and I
yeah,
went and got it, and I liked it too.
It tasted like a sweet tart,
Yeah, I can't remember what that was called.
like drinking a sweet tart. My beer this
How about
evening
you?
is I went with the this is a Fat Elvis kind of night for me. From Four Hands, the Absence of Light, peanut butter, chocolate, and banana milk stout. So we each have banana in our beers this evening.
Mhm.
So
And I had a banana before we went on the show.
to piss off all the people over 60 that don't understand the goofy beers.
Yeah.
You hear that, Susan? They've got bananas in their beers on this show. Weirdos.
Joe Bray's videos says I'm drinking eggnog tonight.
That's good.
Fun fact, Joe Bray. I don't know if you were making your own eggnog. Did we talk about this last week? Did I make eggnog every year for my family get together?
I think we talked about this last year.
We might have. Yeah, this is the same show from 2021, so
You're right.
we apologize, everyone. But no, I had brandy when I make it.
Who's
Brandy rather than rum, and
Oh.
I think it makes a huge difference. I make it from scratch, and I love it. It's one of the
Okay.
best things. It's probably the best thing I make all year.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, brandy instead of rum. I enjoy a good brandy Alexander on Christmas. Those so good.
Yep, and I enjoy Celis Brandy every time I make it. Make the eggnog. I have to sit there and sing the song the whole time.
I'm sure that's not annoying.
No, I'm sure. Just ask my wife.
Yeah, not for anybody. All right, so I guess we'll get into the Colorado and Nashville games that the Blues partook in a couple days ago. After this word from ID Life.
Beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of RockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting RockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Okay, so the Blues got 3 of 4 points in their games versus Colorado and Nashville on Sunday and Monday. 3-2 loss versus the Avalanche on Sunday. Colorado had 8 players out due to injury in this game. Almost half the roster. It makes you, going into this game, you thought, okay, all right. Well, Colorado has, a team that we despise, right? Not, without a good chunk of the lineup. Half the team is an AHL team. Liked our chance. I thought the Blues played okay. They played fine. They played fine, I guess. But, Binnington got the start in this game versus Francouz for the Avalanche. Francouz. How do you say it?
I believe it's Francouz.
Francouz. That's how I say Francouz.
I think that's how you originally said it. You said both like 3 times. But I'm pretty sure Francouz is what you said originally.
At least I didn't say Francois.
Francois.
That's fun to say. Krug returns to the lineup after missing the last couple games with an upper body injury. Jim Thomas had tweeted out that there were scouts from 13 NHL teams on hand during this game at Enterprise Center, which to him seemed like a lot for this time of year.
And it is. You don't normally see, like, you'll always get NHL scouts at games. Now, Kurt, again, I know I mentioned this for the first time of the season last week. I used to be in the media. And
I keep forgetting that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But I remember all the time, like, seeing, like, why is a Dallas Stars scout here? Why is there a Montreal Canadiens scout here? A lot of it's just they're in the area and they're told to basically they have kind of a quota of like, well, you got to see this many NHL games. You got to see this team this many times. And so a lot of that is that. But yeah, that many at one afternoon game on a Sunday. Part of it, now I think this wasn't discussed much, but part of what I saw was maybe that they weren't just there for St. Louis, because this was a very decimated Avalanche team, as you just talked about. A lot of young guns playing, and with how the Blues have gone over the years with moving their high price contracts, and just with seeing other teams have to do this thing. Eventually, the Avalanche are going to have to start getting out of under these contracts, and they're going to have to move some kids with them. And you got to wonder, maybe there were some scouts there checking out these kids.
Or even for this season, trade deadline coming up. If Colorado wants to improve themselves to acquire somebody, they might have to, give up a prospect or two and a pick, get somebody. So, and also with the Blues, the Blues are down in the standings, to be kind, and struggling. And if they don't turn things around dramatically, they may sell a couple pieces. So maybe they're for that too.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. And it honestly could be, well, if this were in a vacuum, you could easily say, well, maybe this was just one of those weird, it was a Sunday afternoon, guys figured this is the best time to go catch a Blues game that I have to go see. For the next game, Monday night, wasn't there 11 scouts there?
I didn't catch the number.
Yeah, I believe it was 11 at the Predators game. It was a tweet from Thomas again. And so I think that's a trend. It is mostly St. Louis. And you know what, though? I mean, again, Nashville's not playing well either. So I don't know. It could be a number of things, but it does seem like the common denominator is checking out Blues home games.
Rantanen scored all 3 of the goals for Colorado in their 3-2 win versus the Blues. The game was scoreless in the second period, midway through, when Krug pinched on this play, got caught behind the goal. Didn't just pinch, he pinched all the way, as far as you can pinch as a defenseman. And Colorado quickly pushed the puck up the boards and up the ice. And Levo at center, who probably should have been covering for Krug and playing D with Falk, got caught flat-footed, and it was 2-on-1 against Falk. And Rantanen snipes a wrister by Binnington from just outside the faceoff dot, the near faceoff dot, under his glove, over his pad, inside the near post. 1-0 Colorado. Tough goal for any goalie to stop. He basically has a lane to the goal and to pick a spot. Binnington looked set, had the angle right, and how he plays. If you're familiar with how Binnington plays specifically with his glove and how he positions his glove, he had his glove in the right spot. But Rantanen nailed that small area under his glove, over his pad, and just you just can't react in time to glove that down.
I saw somebody, it wasn't one of us, get some flack on Twitter for basically saying that this was a beautiful, gorgeous shot from Rantanen, shows the type of sniper he is. But apparently the same tweeter, it might have even been on Facebook, I can't remember, but whoever it was, the poster, apparently was critical of Binnington, like we were, of the Jason Robertson goal from a couple weeks ago. And basically the person was called out and said, hey, well, if you're going to say that about the Robertson goal, why not say it about the Rantanen goal?
Completely different placed goal shots.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And also, I think Binnington had a great position on this goal.
I did too. I thought
the Robertson goal, I thought he was just slightly off his angle.
Oh, he gave way too much.
Give a guy like Robertson all that he needs to put the puck by him. And yeah, in this one, Rantanen just picked a spot. I thought that was just a great shot by him.
Like we talked about, there's an angle of the camera behind Robertson on his goal against Binnington. Right wing comes in, and Binnington is off his angle. He gives him way too much goal to shoot at stick side, and Robertson nailed it. And this one, I thought like you said, Binnington was fine positionally. I mean, you can't cover 100% of the goal, and yeah, it'd been great if you could have made the save. Been a great save, but I mean, he hit a spot. You tip your cap, you know. I didn't think his glove was high or low. I didn't think he was, mechanically wrong there. He just hit it. And if you notice, Binnington didn't even move. He hit that spot right below his glove and right above his pad. It's just there's a little tiny spot there, and he hit it. And just that's the way it is. And in the I lost my spot here. Right in the side. Oh, yeah, okay. So and Tarasenko in the third period ties the game at 8:01 mark of the third period on the power play, real early in the power play on a beautiful. I mean, there are few people in the NHL that can make this shot. Beautiful one-time angle shot in tight, down by almost on the red line, up and over the shoulder of Francouz. Beautifully placed shot. Beautiful. Francouz.
No, well, that's what I'm laughing at. This might be a joke here that I'm highlighting. I don't know, because I've had people tweeting me because I said something about how, my God, his name is Jordan Binnington, not Bennington. Stop typing Bennington. And someone just jumped in the chat and says Bennington sucks.
Is a Preveloir? Is I'm not familiar with that name. Is that a new listener?
It might be a new live listener.
So you never know.
On this Tarasenko goal, Bennington sucks. Yeah.
So they're either being sarcastic, or they're an Avalanche fan.
Probably that is definitely
that's all you
case.
get from Colorado fans is Binnington sucks.
Oh my God, it's obnoxious. But anyway, so this goal, Vladimir Tarasenko. Yeah, it's funny because whenever you see a goal, whenever you see a goal from the red line like this, typically you look at it and you say, okay, what the hell, goalie? Like, how do you not make that save? But I mean, we've seen Tarasenko do this before. Like, I don't know how he puts it there from that angle. Like, mathematically, like trying to figure out the geometry of it. I don't know how he does it. It's just like you said, just so beautifully placed. It's not just like, oh, he shot it high and it's under the bar. He put it right where he had to, because Francouz was having a great game, and just he was making all the stops he needed to, but this is one that you look at, you're like, yeah, it's from the red goal line, but I don't know how he makes that save. That was beautiful.
And then on the penalty kill, so late in the third period, Saad channels his inner Alexander Steen and shocks the world as he scores a shorthanded goal with 1:36 to go in the game to put the Blues up 2-1. Makar had played the puck back from center into his own zone, and his defensive partner stumbled and couldn't recover in time. Saad comes flying in, out positions the defenseman, and gets the puck, flies in, and shoots back against the grain and scores. And 2-1. You think 1:36 to go. You're thinking, wow, yes, game over. And then Colorado, of course, is still in the power play, but still, you're thinking, okay, this is good. All right, we got this.
So on this goal, Makar, I felt like there was a little bit of a controller disconnected on Makar. So he makes that. I thought it was a bad pass to begin with. Like, it was too soft. I feel like he didn't put enough pepper on it. And then, like you said, that his D partner, whoever it was, slipped, couldn't get there, and Saad takes advantage. But after that, I thought, and listen, I know Makar probably, obviously playing with Saad before in Colorado, knows Saad's ability to get some speed on the puck. But you watch the play, Makar makes no attempt to back check.
Nope.
He just kind of glides back, and I guess he just expects his D partner to get it. And it's like, man, you gotta hustle. Like, you can. I'm not saying he would have caught Saad, but there's a chance you get in there and maybe you tie up a stick right before the shot comes in. I just feel like there was no effort from Makar to try and make the play, which is unlike him. We don't see that from him. So very odd, but a good play by Saad to get to the puck, get a shot on goal, go against the grain. And Jimmy Rutherford friend of the show, tweeted out, I think it was yesterday, that since Brandon Saad has been playing more on the penalty kill, they've killed off, 9 in a row?
They've killed 7 in a row.
7 in a row.
I was just going to bring that up about Saad and the penalty kill. And now, granted, it's a situation where it worked out this time shorthanded wise, but yeah, they're just 7 for 7 in the penalty kill the last 2 games, and Saad is now playing on the PK. Thomas is off the PK in that span, and Barbashev is on the PK again. So there's Walker's off. So there's been some changes to the PK that way, and it's worked. So, and again, against a Colorado team that's decimated and against a Nashville team that's struggling, but still, beggars can't be choosers at this point.
So is Brandon Saad coaching the PK now? Did we solve that?
Well, from what was talked about today, it seems like Van Ryn is on the PK, because JR was talking on 101 today about that, and about how Van Ryn was the one commenting about some of the changes they made on the PK. So I don't think it was mentioned a little bit ago that Ott was the guy. Somebody chimed in and said that Ott was the guy running the PK, but I think it's Van Ryn is running the PK now. So, which is interesting, because his defensive core has not been good at all this season.
No, I'm not impressed with Van Ryn as a defensive coach either. So that's odd to hear, but it's working. So let's keep rolling with it. Keep him on the PK if it's true.
Small sample size, but I mean,
right.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much a guaranteed goal before this streak. Every time the Blues took a penalty.
1 or 2 goals a game they were giving up.
Yep.
It seemed like
literally it was, and I think I've said it last week, that if the Blues get a penalty, if I'm Berube, I'm just saying, just put a goal on the board, because, that way at least we got 2 minutes to try and tie it back. Good Lord, they were that bad.
In the dying seconds of this game, with Colorado's goalie pulled, Blues defending, Barbashev loses his helmet and in the defensive zone, and there's got to be 12, 13 seconds left, something like that. He loses his helmet, bolts to the bench, and O'Reilly jumps on for him. So he's got the option here to try and pick the helmet up and put it back on within a reasonable amount of time, I think the rule says, which is pretty. I mean, you drop it, you're supposed to pick it up right away. But and I thought this at the time, and they talked about it after the game. You don't go to the bench. You don't go to pick it up if you're Barbashev, the helmet. You play like you've got it on, and after a few seconds they'll probably call you for a penalty. So what? So there's got to be less than 10 seconds to go. Who cares? You don't leave your zone to go to the bench, and you're shorthanded already. And so that, I think, probably his instinct just took over. My dog pulling my
I've been seeing him back there the whole time.
Go do something. It's storming here, and he's like pacing back and forth. Oh my gosh, go lay down. But yeah, so his instinct is, I gotta either pick it up or go to the bench. So he bolts to the bench as fast as he can. I'm like, oh dude.
Yeah.
Because you play and you get the penalty, who cares? 10 seconds face off, you win the face off, dump it, game's over. Doesn't matter.
So where did you hear them talk about this?
That was in let's see, who asked him about it? I think somebody said on the radio, is it Pang talks to him? Pang was talking to him, and then somebody mentioned it and repeated the story on the radio about how they had a conversation with him about how what he could have done. Did he think about just playing?
I didn't hear this. So because so I'll say, basically coming from another perspective, that's exactly what I thought. Like I said, I didn't have any of this. I didn't hear any of this conversation, and
it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right on the dot. Nice work.
There we go.
But yeah,
and I was not talking again.
No, and that's going to continue. No, I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, I am making them give me a penalty. And at the very least, the helmet wasn't that far from him. Like, at the very least, try to reach down and grab it and put it on. You don't have to have the chin strap
Yeah.
on.
I'm thinking no either way. That takes a few seconds with your gloves on.
But I'm
your
saying
stick,
that's the better decision than trying to go to the bench with 12 seconds left.
maybe.
Like,
I don't know.
at least
I
you're
wouldn't do
still
either.
in the play. Like, at the very least, maybe the puck hits you.
Yeah.
When you skate to the bench, you're out of the play.
I think both. I agree with you. That's the lesser of the two. But I think both are a bad play. I just think you keep playing. There's so little time left. Don't you just
And
So-
I would say maybe if there's more time left, still, I think I still take that chance, because if they're pressuring like that with the goalie pulled, man, like, you got to do something. You can't just skate to the bench. And I get that it's the rule, and to give Barbashev some credit, I mean, it's a bang bang thing. Your helmet comes off, and you're just thinking like, I just got to make sure that I do what's best for the team here. And he just thought, I don't want to take a penalty. Maybe he didn't realize how much time was left, but still, like, man, you got to be a little bit more aware when that happened. You got to think, hopefully, maybe his teammates are yelling at him like, stay. Like, it was just, that was like I said, the wrong decision. The worst decision to make in that play is skate to the bench.
Yep, because you're taking your team out of it. And O'Reilly gets back into the play with 7 seconds to go. Right when the goal was scored, he gets back into the play. It's already too late.
Yep. And O'Reilly's like, thanks for the minus, asshole.
Yeah. Well, they're killing the penalty. So, was the power play? The power play was over.
No, power play was over.
Power play was over. But they were still, the goalie was pulled. So is that a minus, right? Goalie's pulled?
That's a minus. Yeah.
Okay.
It's still minus. Yeah. So O'Reilly's like, what the fuck, man? Thanks.
So this goal was scored. Makar has the puck on the far boards and just whips it towards the goal. There's 8-9 seconds to go when he does this, 10 seconds to go. And this is essentially their last chance, their last shot at scoring, right? 7 seconds. Throws it to the goal, hits. So Parayko has Comfer tied up near post, right? And it hits off Comfer's stomach or gut and then kind of bounds behind Binnington. And then you see the puck kind of go off Comfer and then bound, and then you see Binnington slide back into the goal, and you see everybody push into the goal, right? And you're thinking, oh, fuck. And then it goes in. And my first thought is, did Binnington knock it in because he's sliding back into the goal? But no, you see that Rantanen, Parayko did not have Rantanen tied up at the far post. And at that point, you haul his ass to the ice. You grab onto him, yank him down, take a penalty. Who the fuck cares?
Oh, you give him a suplex. I don't care.
Yeah, grab onto his stick, break it in half. Nobody cares. As soon as the puck's shot towards the goal, if I'm Parayko, I'm grabbing the guy. I'm grabbing Rantanen's stick with my hand, and it's not going anywhere. Because so little time. Even you get a penalty again. You get a penalty. It's a face-off. Then they got to win it and work it back around again and put it on net. Chances are, it's just a better play. But Rantanen scores, and it goes into overtime. And then Rantanen gets position on Parayko going to the net.
Not just position, all the position.
He gets all the position. He's in between Parayko and Binnington when the shot's taken. And actually, luckily for Rantanen, Binnington makes a save, and the rebound goes off of his skate, and then Karam's conveniently right towards his blade, and he just pops it in. And this whole time, Parayko's like draped over Rantanen's back. It's like, dude,
that does nothing.
No,
that does nothing to an NHL player. If you're in a men's league, okay, what you'll do is you're putting your weight on him. He'll fall down because none of us can skate. But Mikko Rantanen is not a men's league player. So to just drape your body over his like a cowl on Batman, that is nothing. That does nothing. You got to tie up the stick. You got to tie up the hands. Like you said on the goal before, take a penalty, slash his stick in half, get him in the hands, make sure that puck is not able to be touched by him. Like, just awful. Absolutely awful defending by Parayko to do literally. I mean, he might as well have not even been standing there. He might as well have been at the blue line for that goal.
I mean, he didn't make a difference in it. And people were giving Parayko flack on the game tying goal with 7 seconds to go. I thought he played that well. I thought he had Comfort tied up nicely on that play. I don't know why.
More Mikkola.
Yeah. Mikkola he didn't have Rantanen tied up at all. And I think that play is more just people seeing Parayko next to the goal and the puck going in. And Parayko has become a whipping boy now for a lot of fans, and they're just on him. And I'm like, no, come on, that wasn't him at all. He did his job on that play. But again, on this overtime goal,
was his fault.
Overtime goal, he just. I mean, it just got outworked in front of the goal, and that's been a problem. Not tying up. I've harped on them for weeks about not tying up sticks around. They're getting beat around the goal. Backdoor plays, not tying up sticks. Guys getting position on the defenseman, and Parayko being as big as he is, not being able to outwork guys is embarrassing. He should be able to push guys around.
Well, in again, to defend him in his non-physical play, not even just push guys around. You should be able to have the body position because you've got a big, lanky body, and you should be able to just out-muscle guys and just say,
that's what I'm saying.
That's my puck, not yours. I'm going to get that puck. You're going to stand there and look at me like, well, shit, there's nothing that I could have done there. But it's not like that at all. Guys get the body position on him constantly. He doesn't get his big, tall stick in passing lanes. He doesn't tie up sticks at all. Defensively, I hate to say it, he's kind of worthless defensively. I mean, positionally, every now and then he's fine, but man, he does not stop across the crease passes. He doesn't play rebounds well. Oh man, he can carry the puck like anyone's business. And
he hasn't done that
get
though.
Shots. No, he hasn't. But he can get shots. His shot's been better, I think. But man, in terms of playing defensive hockey, I just don't think he has it. I don't know how you can call him a number one.
I mean, I just. I don't want to be that fan. I don't want to be the fan that says you just needs to play tougher. But I've said it before. I'm like, what he's doing is falling short of expectations for him. So he needs to start doing something differently, or he's just going to stay on these train tracks as far as getting ripped on by fans and being the problem on too many of these goals. So I love Parayko. I want him so much to be more of a force back there. And he doesn't have to be physical. If you're not going to be physical, you have to be positionally sound. And it just seems like he's getting beat positionally. And his stick's not in the passing lane like it should be, as much as it should be. I mean, and there's a lot of blame to go around the season for a lot of players, but he's one of those guys that has the skill set to put a team on his back and control the play when he's out there, and he just doesn't. So it's disappointing to see that he plays softer than what he's capable of.
Yeah, agree.
Blues outshot Colorado in this game 32-31. Blues were 1 for 4 on the power play. The Blues actually held Colorado goalless on the power play. They went 0 for 3 on the power play. Colorado did. So I thought the Blues overall, aside from a couple of non-tying up players around the goal and the tying goal and the overtime goal, I thought the Blues played a decent game. They generated more chances than they have. I thought they played a decent defensive game. They just didn't box out around the net a couple times in key moments. The Blues PK was good, which was nice to see. I thought Francouz played well, but as well as he played, I don't think the Blues challenged him enough. I don't think he played well, but he didn't have to be amazing to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make. I don't think he made any highlight reel saves in this game that I can recall.
No,
so
no, I can't either.
And I just as 32 shots, and he made some nice saves. I'm not going to take anything away from him, and I think was it. I'm getting my games mixed up with Colorado and Nashville. Was it Colorado where Thomas had that break on right wing, came in, tried to beat him high, and it got him on the shoulder? Can't remember if that was Soros or Francouz.
I believe that was Francouz.
Okay, that was a good save.
Yeah.
Good positional save. But
I thought honestly, you talk about the Blues needing points right now. Obviously, I mean they always need points, but right now, get yourself out of the fucking basement and start getting points. I'll say with this basically being an AHL team outside of the one guy that scored all 3 of their goals, the Avalanche, this was a game they did need to win, but coming out of a loss against Winnipeg, I thought this was a fine game for the Blues. I said this before. I think this team, more or less, and I feel like they have done this a little bit with the way they've played, trying to still play that high tempo game that they played last year. I think they just need to get back to basics, lift the puck out to center, try and catch guys on a break, and then, obviously you get power plays, capitalize there. Tarasenko, by the way, his first power play goal of the season.
First power play goal of the season, right?
That's crazy. But either way, I thought they did a good job in this game of actually trying to control tempo and again, getting back to some basic hockey. And against a decimated Avalanche team, you did have to do it that way. They still got a point. It's a game they had a lead late, so it's unfortunate to see them lose that way. Because basically, the 2 Rantanen goals, the second and third, that was 40 seconds of hockey, 40 hockey seconds between the goals, whatever it was. So that's disheartening. But to see them get a point here, so basically you got one out of 4 points going into another divisional game with Nashville. You got to be a little happy with that and say, okay, maybe this is where they start to turn the corner.
Yeah, and people will say, well, Colorado was an AHL team in that game, and so the Blues not winning, that just sucks. And I don't even care that Colorado had 8 players out. I don't care. Do not care. I'm just, as a Blues fan at this point, with the way they played this season, do not care who's out for the other team. If they win, that's great. I'm not going to, if they get a point, that's okay. They could have done better. They should have done. I mean, you're 7 seconds to go. You're 8 seconds away from winning. You need to win that game. Sorry.
Yeah.
It just,
and you said, there's multiple points in that play that the Blues made mistakes. Barbashev
right.
and Mikkola.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Barbashev, Mikkola, and that's it. It's tough because the Blues playoff season ended last year on a last-second goal from Colorado too. So,
on a bad goal by Husso.
Yeah, that was bad.
I remember even at the time, I think I even tweeted, "Bye Husso, nice seeing you in a Blues jersey." I knew that was the death nail for him.
Yeah. All right. So next night, Monday, the Blues needed this game. Nashville sat 1 point ahead of the Blues in the standings. So regulation win would see the Blues leapfrog over Nashville. A lot of people tell you that that a scoreless game, going in overtime is a boring game.
There was a lot of people saying that this was like watching paint dry, and I enjoyed it. You know what though? I will say this: I love defensive hockey. I will take a 1-0 game over an 8-7 game anytime, as long as the defense and the goaltending is playing well. I think those are just as exciting as goals. When the goalie makes a miraculous stretch across the crease save, that to me is just as exciting as a goal. So I have no problem with what the final score is.
A great goaltending duel with a bunch of great saves on each end. That's edge of your seat stuff. In a big game.
I've said this before. One of the most exciting games I have ever been to, and I don't know the exact date. I'll say 97. It was Toronto Maple Leafs, St. Louis Blues, 0-0 final. And Curtis Joseph, Grant Fuhr, goaltending duel. I think both teams had over 30 shots, and they were just both phenomenal. And it was and that was at the point clearly when we didn't have shootouts or anything, but it was both these guys deserve a shutout. They have played so well, and it's been such good high octane hockey. I don't care there wasn't a goal. This was so much fun to watch.
Toropchenko was recalled for after a 5-game conditioning assignment in Springfield after being a healthy scratch for 8 games with the Blues. I thought he looked good in this game.
Best game of the season.
Because he was good. Yeah. Yeah, it's not anything uniquely insightful from my perspective saying he played well. Everyone thinks he played well in this game.
No, he this was his best game of the season.
Yeah.
He looked like the guy that was called up last season.
Right. This is what we wanted him to be this season. Yeah.
And we just have not seen that. Like, I saw somebody, and actually was a very good point. I saw somebody, I think, before this game say, stop playing your fourth line. They're awful. Play your top three lines. And I thought, when was the last time we said that as Blues fans? Like, that's not something we usually say. We love our fourth liners. So the fact the fourth line's been a little this season, if you can inject that with a Toropchenko, I think that changes everything.
Binnington got the start on back-to-back nights and was given it was very good in getting his 100th career win, which we'll talk about in a little more detail after the game.
Back-to-back nights is being generous.
It's a day game.
And I'll say, and I don't want to get too much into this, but before these two games, I got into it with a guy on Twitter because he said that this was another season of every season of his career, except the first one, that Jordan Binnington has had his starting job taken away.
I saw that.
Which is not true. I mean, it's just simply not true.
Right.
But I said, wait a minute. I'm like, how are you making that judgment now? Like, because Greiss got a start against Winnipeg, you're going to say he had his starting job taken away?
Because
he's
Greiss
like, yeah,
that's back-to-back games.
That's two starts in a row. That's back-to-back games. So, yeah, his starting job was taken away.
No.
What? And then I asked him, like, please clarify. Like, and at one point he said something like, well, the two he had his crease taken from him for 2 games in a row. And I'm like, he didn't have the first game clearly was not one taken away from him. It was the second of a back-to-back. That was the Islanders game. I'm like, he played the night before. Berube has never, until this week, he has never played Binnington in back-to-backs. And this one was just a little different to where it was an afternoon then night game, but it was like, and then he was dead set. He's had his starting job taken away. Well, then look at the 2 games he played against Colorado and Nashville. So yeah, I don't think his starting job is in jeopardy right now.
I liked because he said, yeah, if your backup starts back-to-back games, you've lost your starting job. And then I love how you came back with, well, Vasilevsky didn't start back-to-back games. Isn't that who it was? You found Vasilevsky. Yeah, his backup
last
was
year.
Elliott started back-to-back games. And he says, well, I guess he lost his starting job. The best goalie in the world.
I don't remember what he said, but he said something to refute it. He was like, well, no, that's a different situation. And then I'm like, okay, let's look at last year's Vezina winner. And it was Shesterkin, and he missed back-to-back starts at the end of the season. He's like, well, they were probably just resting him because, they were going to the playoffs. And I'm like, and he's like, keep trying though, bud. And I'm like, I just gave you 2 examples and you shot them both down. Like, who's the one trying here?
Yeah. Well, what's the saying? Arguing on the internet's like playing chess against a pigeon. It doesn't matter what you do. They're going to shit all over the board and strut around like they just won the game.
Yeah, right. I was shocked. Well, then I saw, like, I literally muted the guy after that. I'm like, I can't even deal with this stupidity. I'm like, this guy is like purposely being an idiot, or he's just really that stupid. And I saw other people chime in like later, like after normal work hours for people, and I saw people being like, holy shit, this guy's for real, like commenting, and I'm like, staying out of it. I'm done.
Nashville goalie, you say Soros was solid in this game. No goals scored in regulation. A goaltending duel, which we talked about. Yeah, I enjoyed this game. I thought it was a well played game. I guess 2 teams that were struggling, so it wasn't amazing hockey, but it was a good game. I thought both teams played fairly well. Blues played much better defensively. They played better on the penalty kill again.
They played their game, honestly. Yeah. The Blues played their game all night. Soros, and it's funny because I kept thinking, and I'm glad I never said anything on social media, like, where is this Blues team that has just lit up UC Soros? Like this team, we've said now for what, 2 years, like Soros is having a great time in Nashville, except for when he plays the Blues. The Blues just seem to have his number. And clearly that was not the case in this game. And I knew the minute I said something on social media that, that the Nashville would just come down and score. So I was like, just don't say anything. But yeah, I love this game too. This was exciting hockey. Again, give me a low scoring game with some good chances by both teams. I'm going to be enthralled. And I was. This was a lot of fun to watch.
It was late in the Binnington puck to the wrist. That was late in the third period, right? Late in the third period. Binnington took a puck to the forearm just above the cuff of his trapper. After some interference by Nashville forward, turned his glove over and exposed the backside of his arm on a shot. Screen, cross in front, made contact with the glove. He couldn't get his glove out. It turned over and the puck hit him on the backside of the forearm, kind of.
So before we talk about the injury part of this, I want to ask you.
Yep.
Let's say that exact play happens because what happened was the Predators player skated by and then lifted he jumped basically to try and avoid the puck hitting him, but wanted to continue to screen Binnington. But in doing so, he flipped his glove in a position that Binnington did not find ideal. Let's just say somehow he flips his glove enough to where the puck squirts under his arm, puck goes in the net. Do the Blues challenge that play for goal interference?
No. You know why? Well, actually, they probably would because it was late in the third period and they were losing. But I don't think that would have been ruled interference because Binnington, the contact was outside the crease, and we've seen it. We can argue goaltender interference on what is interference and what isn't, and what should be versus what is called. But incidental contact with the goalie that happens outside the crease is not called interference. It wasn't intentional. It was incidental. And the contact was made outside the crease. Binnington's skates may have been on the edge of the crease, maybe, but so they're not going to call that interference. Even though I think the Blues probably do challenge it, maybe out of desperation because they were losing late in the third. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think it's interference by the rule book and and by the way they're calling it nowadays.
I don't think the Blues challenge. I just think they have been so anti-challenging this year just because they don't want to take that extra penalty, even though it's late in the game. I don't know. I don't trust them to make that call because I think at that point you have to, but they haven't given me any reason to believe that they would try and make that call.
Well, I think they would be right not to challenge because I don't think it's interference based on how they're calling it because it's outside the crease.
I still think it goes either way. I still think it could or couldn't be a goal.
If they determine it was on purpose, he didn't make an effort to get out of the way, but he saw him there. He's crossing in front and it's incidental. He's jumping out of the way of the puck. It makes contact with the glove. It's incidental contact. I think they rule it that way all day long. And it's outside the crease. It's inside the crease, then it's interference. You can't do that because he prohibited Binnington from making the save with his glove inside the crease, but it happened outside the crease. So I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think it's interference. That's me.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, how concerned were you? Level from 1 to 10. How concerned were you when this play happened and you saw Binnington kind of dive to the ice, like writhing in pain?
It's hard to say. When I saw the replay, that's when I saw, that might have gotten exposed skin. That may have missed the pad. So you never know. I mean, that puck it's a frozen puck, right? And it's striking your forearm. Could easily break a bone, right? But him staying in the game and making that glove save in overtime, I thought, well, he's probably okay. It might not be broken. If he's in the game and made that save and didn't seem any worse for the wear. After the game, he said it hurts. It's gonna be sore, but it's fine. So
he said it hurts. He said, yeah, it kind of hurt, but we'll deal with that later. Is how he worded it in the post-game interview, and that made me a little nervous. I'll say I thought right away, if it's broken, he knows it's broken. And he's coming right out. Like, I'm out of here. But the fact that he like stayed in the crease, Ray Burley came out to him, I was like, I think he's gonna be okay. I see it as, and it's something that I get constantly. I see it as a pretty deep bruise. Those suck. They suck. I know you probably had them too. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
Imagine for those of you who ever got a dead leg back in high school when somebody would punch you at like the top of your leg and it would kind of like feel numb for a little while. Like, it's kind of like that, except man, it's just this throbbing pain. I think of Elf, Buddy the Elf, when he says he's holding the thing to his finger and he's like, my finger has a heartbeat. Like, that's basically what it is. It's a pounding pain. And it hurts so much to start. Adrenaline takes over and you feel fine after a little bit. But then, like, the next day you wake up and you're like, okay, yep, that's right. That happened last night. And I think that's what it was for him.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was pretty sore yesterday and today. But he's got a couple.
Jim Thomas, to skip ahead a little bit, Jim Thomas gave everyone a little bit of a heart attack today. Did you see that? He said when the practice first started today, he tweeted out, no Binnington at practice today. It's Grice and an e-bug. And it was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then like 3 minutes later, he's like, okay, wait, here comes Binnington. And it's just like, God damn it, dude.
So halfway through overtime in this game, Schenn takes a pass in the blue zone. And this was kind of, I knew what was going on right when he first, like, he's like freaking out. Receives a pass in his own zone. He's the last guy back. No one's back with him. And he just starts hands out, yelling. I'm like, oh, fuck, his stick broke. He can't play the puck.
Yep.
And so, and then Binnington comes out and plays the puck. And then Schenn goes to the bench and gets another stick. And but that was funny. Could have been bad if a Predator player was in the vicinity. Of course, I'm sure Schenn either probably tries to kick the puck away or haul him down. One of the two.
Yeah. And yeah, he would have done more than Parayko did with his stick against Rantanen. No, what a smart heads-up play by Binnington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sure.
I loved that because he knew right away. You could tell Binnington could read that. Like, oh, shit, like, Braden can't play that. I better step up and do something. Whereas, like, and I think Steve Ott, apparently, I think it was Ott, who said that they couldn't hear him. Nobody could hear him on the bench. And so
he was
knew.
sick. He was sick.
Yeah.
He didn't have a voice either. He couldn't yell that loud.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's trying to scream, but he can't. You know, it's
like a bad
what
dream.
The hell? Yeah, right. And so I think he's like, guys, please. And luckily, Binnington's right there to read the situation.
And goalies who like to play the puck don't need a lot of incentive to go out and play the puck. You know, they love playing the puck. You know, oh, I get to play the puck. Yes.
Well, and imagine if that, like, I think it was Pang who said, like, imagine if somebody was on him.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're fucked. Like, it's literally a one-on-one, like you said, it's a guy with no stick. And it's a guy coming in on him. Basically, either a penalty is going to be taken by Schenn or it's a breakaway on Binnington. You know,
and
not much you can do there.
You're in overtime, so you've got talented scorers out there too.
Mm-hmm.
You're not facing a fourth line grinder out there. You know, somebody's coming in with speed probably and can stick handle and can shoot and is going to poke that puck away from you. So you probably got to hold him down.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think if that were the case, there were a guy on him, other guys are going to change. I think Schenn's hauling him down. I think Schenn is literally grabbing the guy by his waist and just throwing him to the ice.
After Schenn got his new stick, he and Kyrou came into the Predator zone 2-on-2, crisscrossed in the high slot. Schenn dropped pass to Kyrou as they crisscross. Kyrou flows to the right side, shoots from the right side, saved by Soros, and then Schenn is there on the left side for the rebound, who puts it in the open side nicely as he fades away. Blues win 1-0 in overtime. Good game. Good finish. Thank God. I wish they could have been in regulation though, because this is, I mean, if the Blues are going to make a run to make the playoffs, it's just, this is a team that you're battling with and you gave them a point. So it would have been nice to get, and Colorado too. Colorado, they tied it late to get an extra, to get the opportunity for an extra point, and they got both. So Binnington in this game gets his 100th career win. He is the 6th Blues goalie to reach that mark. He got his 12th shutout of his career and his second this season. He also got his first NHL win with a shutout. So he's bookended his career with shutouts right now. He joins Liut, Allen, Joseph, Fuhr, and Elliott in the Blues' 100 win club. He reached 100 wins in 184 games. That is the third fastest Blues goalie to do so. Brian Elliott did it in 175 games, and Jake Allen did it in 176 games. They did it faster. So Berube on Binnington's 100th career win said after the game, "It's a huge accomplishment. You go back to when he was called up and what he accomplished. He's a Blue, you know. He's got a lot of compete in him, a lot of fire in him." So Binnington's next shutout will tie him with Roman Turek and put him only 3 behind Glenn Hall. He's also only 51. He's 51 wins behind behind Mike Liut too. So that's interesting because if he plays his career out, he's going to destroy that win record.
Oh yeah, he will. Tying Brent Johnson for shutouts by a Blue. It just goes to show, man. I mean, nothing against Brent Johnson. He's a great dude. Love his commentating now. I will stand by. Brent Johnson's one of the worst starting goalies the Blues have ever had. Just never understood. A guy who basically played a Hasek style of I'm just going to get my body in front of the puck, but was not good at it. How that guy got 12 shutouts, I mean, goes to show you. He played behind Chris Pronger, Al McInnes, Barrett Jackman when he was playing his rookie year. I mean, some damn good defense. And you know what? Jordan Binnington playing, and again, maybe it's a recency bias thing, playing with some of the damn worst defense the Blues have ever had. And still able to get some shutouts here and there. Now, I'll give the Blues credit on this game that they played very well this game. Played in the other shutout he had this year against Edmonton. Played well that game too. But, I love seeing it. I love seeing him climb those. We talk about the haters in this game for Binnington. I just love shoving this shit down his throat. Give me advanced stats all day. Guess what? He's going to be the fucking Blues career leader in everything by the time it's all said and done.
Brent Johnson, you can say what you will about him, but he took Roman Turek's starting job. The season after, Turek won the Jennings. Right? Yeah,
the Jennings.
So, and granted, Turek was not having a good season. He was inconsistent. He was pissing me off. And Johnson was playing much better. So, and Johnson had that nice shutout streak against the Hawks. Yeah, that's anytime you put up something like that against the Blackhawks, you're gonna be okay in my book. Austin Lynch says he was at the game Monday and holy shit, I loved it, but the chick I was with found it boring as shit.
The chick you were with, Austin Do Dish.
We've told you before, Austin, never call broads chicks.
Oh, my wife hates that joke. We joke about the haters with Binnington. At the end of the day, again, he will go down as one of the greatest goalies in Blues history simply because he's the only one that's won a Stanley Cup. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But at the same time, his numbers, again, say what you want about his save percentage this season, his advanced stats at the end of the day, he's putting up wins. When this team's playing well, he is a good goalie behind them. This team is expected to score goals and basically just not allow the easy tap-ins, which you could argue has been the case this year. But Marguerite Morosa, can we get a full body display?
What does that mean? In the Facebook chat, Marguerite Moroso, can we get a full body display? Does that mean does that mean Pixar doesn't happen? Is that some kind of
Yeah, I guess. Oh, Austin says she won't. Hopefully, this isn't who Austin brought to the game.
Oh.
He says she won't be going to another game anytime soon.
Can we get a full body display? I'm hoping that's a real person because it's a very strange thing to say.
She may be talking about maybe my costume, my outfit.
Oh,
tonight?
maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Does it light up? Austin says it's a bot.
I wish. Oh God, I wish it did. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Binnington. 100 wins. That's amazing. And again, to do it in the third amount of shortest games, which, hey, let's be honest here. I know you and I will disagree with Jake Allen on this list, but I mean, conversation of greatest goalie of all time for the St. Louis Blues. You and I both say Brian Elliott. He has the numbers to prove it, and he's been great. And a lot of people would say Jordan Binnington, which maybe by the end of the day, that's what I say. There's a lot of people who say Jake Allen belongs in that discussion. So
at the end of
the day, Jordan Binnington's in some pretty elite company right now.
I'd love to have that discussion. And I'm not being sarcastic. The folks that are Jake Allen fans, and there's a segment of the Blues nation that are fans of Jake Allen. I would venture to guess that most are not, because he was here for so long, and just could never really do a whole lot, and always went into funks. But anyway, it's always interesting to me, the goalie stats all time for the Blues, and how quickly Jake Allen moved up the list, for example, right? Because we haven't really stuck with the goalie that long. I mean, compared to some teams, we've never had a goalie here for 10 years. We've never had a goalie here for, to put up amazing numbers. We've had some really good goalies in this organization, but they haven't been here a long time, and not a real long time, to really put up, 200, 300 wins in their career. Our leading win getter is Mike Liut with 151. And if you think a really good goalie season is 40 plus wins, right? That's a really good season. To have 151 for the Blues for career, it's like, man, it doesn't seem like a ton. I don't think, because we haven't had a goalie here for a really, really long time. Jake Allen is our longest tenured goalie here.
Yeah, which is sad. Sorry, it is.
I mean, 7 years, but it's like parts of 7 years. So it's
yeah. I'd like to compare that to the rest of the league, and maybe that's I'm off next week. Maybe that's what I do. I'd like to compare the number of shutouts and wins compared to the rest of the league. And clearly, I'm not talking about the Vegas Golden Knights or the
since
Seattle
1967.
Kraken.
Of the expansion 6.
The expansion 6, and even teams that came in 1970, like Buffalo, Vancouver. You got to wonder what their numbers are too.
I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna bet that the teams that came in with the expansion 6 that are still here, so not counting the Seals, I'm gonna bet that the Blues are maybe dead last in their all-time goalie win leader, 151. You think 151 is the least out of all the expansion 6 teams?
Now you make me feel like I should look it up now.
I'm just like off the cuff. I'm trying to think. For sure, Philadelphia's got that beat.
Well, you got to figure Philadelphia's got Bernie Perrant, right?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's got Tom Barrasso. Who else is in the original 6 here?
LA's got
LA. Well, they got Johnny Quick.
Yeah, he's got
Rogie Fashon too, but I mean, you think Johnny Quick's passed all those by now?
Oh, sure, I bet.
Who else?
Minnesota.
Well, so Dallas basically.
Dallas. So Belfour. Yeah.
Belfour.
Did Belfour get 151 with the Stars? How long was he there?
Let's look at them first.
Sorry. This would have been something to do research before the show if we thought of it.
It would have been great to do this before the show.
Yeah, we could compare expansion 6 with the Blues and with getting 100.
That's interesting. Oh, that is really interesting for Dallas. Marty Turco, number
Yeah,
one,
Turco. That makes sense. Yeah.
262.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then, so these are all ahead of the Blues. This is just Dallas.
Yeah, Mike Liut,
Kari
151 for the Blues.
Lettinen. Kari Lettinen, number 2.
Letting them in?
Letting them in.
Letting
He had
them in?
216 wins.
Oh,
And
wow, I wouldn't have
then
guessed that.
Ed Belfour with 160.
Okay. So Dallas has 3 ahead of our number one, our wins leader in goal. Minnesota is the.
I'm going to look up the rest too. So,
here's
a couple more.
Dallas, Minnesota,
Oh my God.
Dallas, LA.
How do we not? We didn't even mention Philadelphia. What goalie do you think?
Hextall.
Ron Hextall.
Yeah.
Surprised we missed that. 240 wins. Barty Perrant, 231.
See, I was going to say Hextall, but then you said Perrant. Oh, Perrant probably has more. Okay, Hextall has more. All right.
I just figured Perrant because of the era he played in.
Right.
All right, let's do one more. Let's do Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's got to beat. No question. Fleury?
Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
375 with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then Tom Barrasso, 226.
And LA for sure has more. Quick has more. Easily.
Quick has more. He has to have probably double what Binnington has.
Oh, more than that.
Quick has 367.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's
Rogie Fashan also passes the Blues at 171, and Kelly Rudy comes pretty close to Mike Liut's number at 145.
Man, Kelly Rudy.
Yeah.
So we got the Seals, which they're not no longer around. So they were only in the league so many years. Who else we got left?
The Blues.
And
then there's one more.
There's Minnesota. We did Dallas, right? Minnesota, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Blues.
We're getting yelled at by people right now.
LA. We did them all.
Did we?
Did I say LA twice?
Maybe. Hang on. Let me look. This is great stuff here for our listeners. We said them all.
We said them all.
I don't know how I missed it, but yeah, we said them all.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and just because I'm looking, let's go ahead and look at Buffalo.
Yeah, we're dead last. Not even close, actually. It's not even close.
So Buffalo came in.
Oh, Buffalo's more than Buffalo's got Hasek. And a Miller. So
and probably Marty Baron too.
You think he's got more? More than Liut?
So Ryan Miller at 284, Dominic Hasek at 234, Don Edwards at 156, and then Baron comes pretty close at 134.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that just comes back to what I was saying, that we haven't had a goaltender. We've had really good goaltenders at times, but not for long periods of time to put up, 200, 250, 300 wins. So
one more. Vancouver and Buffalo are at their 52nd season.
Luongo is easily got it.
So Vancouver, Roberto Luongo, 252, and then Kirk McLean also at 211. Wow.
Kirk McLean, that's
so again, like these teams that came in years after the Blues, their goaltending leaders both have two guys that have way more than the Blues goaltending leader.
And I think that kind of circles around to where a lot of these towns have more patience with the goaltending, because sometimes there are some years where goaltending is down, right? A goalie can have a good year and then an off year, then a good year and a year and an okay year, pretty good. It varies, right? And I think and I know that the fans don't control the moves that a team makes, but our ownership history has been in turmoil in the past. We've had a lot of owners. And our GMs have liked to wheel, like Karan, like the wheel and deal, right? And we've had some weird GMs too. And Plo, who couldn't seem to bring in the guy. So I think that now we have a goalie who is good enough to win behind a good team. That's how I define Binnington. He can be lights out at his best, and on an average night, he's good enough to win behind a team that plays well. I think he's not going to cost you a lot of games. I don't think.
No.
Generally speaking, obviously.
And that's where my argument comes in with Jake Allen. A lot of people say, like, well, Jake would have like an amazing game and play great. And it's like, yeah, but then he would absolutely blow a stinker for the Blues. Like, give up 3 easy ones and then 2 more. And it's just like, yeah, how are you expected to win that game? Binnington, again, I thought he played pretty rough against Pittsburgh and the Rangers, but some of those pucks were still deflected by his teammates. Some were still pretty easy tap-ins. I just thought, okay, Binnington has played better than that this season and can play better. We've seen him play better. But, like, man, when Jake Allen was off, it was literally the team saying, you are not good enough to play with us right now. Go take a mental health break, and we're going to get somebody else from the AHL to fill in for you. Like, that's how bad it was with Jake. With Binnington, I feel like it's just, yeah, he had a bad night, so let's give him a night of rest to the next game and put in our backup. Like, and last year it was Ville Husso just barnstorming the league and was like, we can't take this guy out of the crease. It wasn't.
Right.
To me, it was more Husso winning the starting job than Binnington losing it. It was like,
well,
go ahead.
I don't think Binnington was very good last year, and I think that opened the door to allow Husso to come in and play well, and he did. I think it was a thank God we have Husso last season for the first 3 quarters of the season or whatever it was, or first half of the season, because I don't think Binnington was very good last season. I thought he was ahead and off year, his worst year. Well, if you don't count the stat wise, this year is his worst year, but hopefully things level out and he gets those numbers back up this season. But yeah, I think with him, the Blues signing him long term, 6-year deal. If the Blues are patient with him, if the fans don't try and run his ass out of town prematurely for having a bad half season or a bad season or whatever, I think he'll be fine behind a good team. And you put a good team in front of him, I think he's quite adequate to, the ceiling for him is fantastic behind a good team. So he's proven that. So I think at times he can carry a team, but I don't think that's something that you want to put on him a lot because if a team's playing poorly this season, he has not stood on his head to, pull out a 1-0 win. So,
we still haven't even mentioned the article that came out with JR last week about him basically throwing the team under the bus and saying, like, it's bullshit. I'm tired of this. Like, I'm tired of seeing my team play like this in front of me. And those are very loosely what he said, but that's
it's
the
the
way
NHL.
I read
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah, right. That's the kind of stuff he said. And I know a lot of people did not like that, but to me, it's like you already had your decision made up on Binnington. That's what it was, and that's just more firewood thrown into the fire. Like that was I could twist this to fit my narrative. And
if Ryan
to me,
O'Reilly
I read
says
it
that,
as like I read it as like, what's that?
If Ryan O'Reilly were to say that, like in an interview saying, this is the NHL, we got to go. We got to play. This is ridiculous. If he would call out, people would love it. And it's the fact that Binnington says it. And it stems back to what I said about a goalie saying or doing anything on the ice. It's like they're not allowed to. But they can't. They're not allowed to take a shot at somebody. They're not allowed to disagree with you there. They're not allowed
I'm going to disagree with you there because I think if that's Marc-Andre Fleury, I think people look at that and say, "What a leader! This guy's a veteran. He knows what it takes to win." And they look at it as Binnington as, "Oh, fuck that guy. He's throwing his teammates under the bus." I think that's. I don't even think it's a goalie thing. I think it's a Jordan Binnington hate thing.
It is mostly a Binnington hate thing, but I think generally speaking too, goalie, everything's under a magnifying glass with goalies on the ice. If a goalie takes a shot at somebody, it's like, oh, everyone takes notice. A goalie fight, like I mentioned before, holy shit, the whole bar stops and watches two goalies go at it. That's highlight reel stuff forever. So because Bill made a really good point last week about how goalies, they're a protected entity on the ice. And so when they do something to instigate something or antagonize another teammate, opposing player, it's tough for the opposing player to retaliate because they can't. So, and I get that aspect of it. But a goalie being passionate and wanting to win and being fiery, give me that all day long. I eat that shit up.
Me too.
I
Me too.
love it.
I love it.
Love it.
I
I don't care who it is. A goalie, whoever it is, who wants to win, vocal about it, give it to me all day long.
Oh, I feel the exact same way. I love when guys, and again, and maybe I worded it wrong, but like, I don't feel like he was fully throwing his team under the bus, saying
I don't
we've
either.
been
I
shit.
don't either.
I feel like he was more saying like, this is not the way we can play. We all know we can play better. Let's play better. Let's fucking go.
Right.
And that's what he was saying to me, not fuck this defense. This is awful.
well,
you guys are terrible.
And people get upset. And I'm like, what he's saying is absolutely fucking true. It is
Yes,
honest.
100%.
It's honest, and he's passionate about it. And I'm like, how can you get mad at someone? Oh, you don't say that publicly. You say it in the locker room. Come on. I mean, how far are we into the season? They're all professionals.
Well,
they're all adults. Come on.
And how often do we hear, and we've said this, you and I have said this on this show, how often do you hear hockey fans say, man, I wish hockey players showed more personality? Like, their answers after games are always, oh, we just got to get pucks deep. We didn't play our game. Like, how often are we just wanting to hear, like, yeah, we fucking suck tonight? Like, that's the kind of stuff we want to hear. We want to hear the passion. We want to hear fire. We want to hear individuality. We want to hear personality. But then when a player does it, we fucking chastise him for it and say, well, no, that needs to be kept in the locker room. Fuck you. No.
Yeah.
I say whatever the hell you want to the media. And that's something else I said about this too. This isn't game 5 of the season. I guarantee this is shit he said in the locker room already. Clearly the message isn't getting across. So he's fed up. Yeah, show us that fire. Let us see that you're pissed off, Jordan. I love it.
Brett Hull, what I used to love Brett Hull interviews post game, especially after a loss. He was honest. He was saying, we suck tonight. And this is terrible. That's terrible. The game's terrible. The NHL sucks. He was so honest. Now, whether or not he was right or you agree with him, that's different. But he was honest. He didn't give the canned answer ever. And I loved that. And some people got on him for that, for speaking his mind to the press. I'm like, you know what? As long as you're not calling out a player by, I mean, I totally understand. If Binnington were to say to Jim Thomas, Parayko aside, then he's got to tie that guy up better. Parayko has not been good this season. He's got to be better. You can't do that. You're just going to cause a personal problem between two players. But generally speaking, about the team as a whole, like he did, nothing wrong with that, because it's true. It's true.
Even expound upon that, and if he were to just say, yeah, the 6th defenseman on the ice tonight, we're not any good, that would also be like, holy shit, like that's a little much. Yeah. But just to speak in general terms like you did, I'm all for it.
Yeah, people are. I don't know what is got. I don't. Some fans are just. I don't know if it's soft or they just don't understand, or
it's Binnington hate.
They complain.
There's already a predisposition
but it's always been
there.
It's always been the fans to some degree with players. I mean, back in the Holland Pronger days, people would bitch at Chris Pronger for taking a penalty. So they hated him because of penalties. Forget all the other 99% of his game that he did that was like amazing on the ice. Because he took too many penalties, they hated the guy. They couldn't stand him. Brett Hull, he didn't play defense. Hate the guy. Can't play defense. And like the guy is he's scored 86 goals. Who cares? He can't play defense.
None were empty netters.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a record. That's a new state record,
and that's a trivia little notification for you there,
right?
Folks.
Because Wayne Gretzky, the year he scored 92, he had, I don't know, it was 10, 12.
I think it was 8.
It was whatever it was. Brett Hull beat it. Beating goal pucks that beat goalies. Brett Hull scored the most in NHL history in one season from goals on a goalie.
It reminds me of the Al Iafrate quote that I cannot say out loud. Oh God, you're looking at me like I'm stupid. Folks, I'm going to tell you
No,
to
I
look
just
it up.
don't-
I am not going to, literally cannot say what he said because this was back in the 80s.
I probably
He
heard
had
it before, but I can't think of it.
He had a chance at a hat trick, and the media asked him after the game. So he had an empty net. And literally, I think it was even like a breakaway chance, and he slid it to a teammate who put it in the empty net. And they asked him, "You had an empty net. You had a chance
yes.
at a hat trick. Why didn't
I
you
see it.
take it?" And I will say this, but I will not say the exact word he said. He said, "Empty net goals are for blank." And it was a very bad derogatory term that I cannot say anymore.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
But
I've
yeah.
heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's a bad one, but in the 80s, I guess it was okay to say it.
Empty net goals are for homogenized milk. There you go.
Are for cigarettes
shorten
in
that
Britain.
down a little bit.
How about cigarettes in Britain?
Yeah, but that's not the same word though. The same.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
okay.
thinking the F word?
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't say that. He said it wasn't near as derogatory.
Really?
I'll say it. He's quote, Al Friday said empty net goals are for homos.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
Are you looking at it online right now?
Yeah. It's
I thought
wait,
he used the F
Hold
word.
on a second. Multiple sites are saying different things. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it was the F word.
Okay. Oh, maybe. Okay, well, I'm not sure. I'm seeing conflicting info on sites here. So okay.
So yeah, what I'm seeing right now is exactly what I thought it was. It's
Okay.
the F word.
I do see both now, but I was like, that's weird. I wonder why. Maybe they cleaned it up.
Yeah,
Wow,
maybe.
that's awful. That's bad. That's
Awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, can't say that, nor would I ever, even back in when the show started, nor would I have wanted to say that word.
You know,
But still, it's
for a
just
guy-
like
for a guy like L.I. Friday with the hair that he had, he shouldn't be making derogatory comments about anybody.
he shouldn't be judging anyone.
Right. He had missing link hair.
Yes, he did.
Few WWF days and missing link. So anyway, in Nashville, the Blues did win this game 1-0. The Blues PK came up big in this game, holding the Predators without a goal in 4 tries. The Blues have now killed 7 straight penalties, which is a big deal with how they've been playing on the PK this season. They are no longer in last place in the NHL on the PK. They are at 67.7%, and the Ducks are at 67% flat.
That's because the Ducks are historically bad. They will not be as bad as that Capitals team, the 1-8 games that holds the record, but they're pretty goddamn bad. So glad the Blues could climb ahead of them.
Oh my gosh. Just on the PK though.
Yep.
Toropchenko, Barbashev, and Saad have been added to the PK. We talked about Thomas has been removed. I think it's safe to say he will not show up on the PK anytime soon. Thomas. I think they've been noticeably more aggressive, blocking shots on the PK, attacking on the boards, when the puck's on the boards. With all that said, I've liked the way the PK has looked the past 2 games. Hopefully they keep it up. They've been practicing it more with more days off. So hopefully something clicked there and is sticking. But it is a small, very, very small sample size for a team that's been really bad on the PK almost the entire season. Not going to get too excited about back-to-back games, but you got to start somewhere. So let's hope it continues. Defense was much improved in this game. They boxed out better. We're tying up sticks better compared to the game before in a couple situations against Colorado that cost them the game. I think the offense could have generated probably some more scoring chances in this game and capitalized on a couple because no goals in regulation is rarely good enough in this league, but it worked out in this game. So we are, let's see, on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about the Blues' upcoming schedule and if the Blues' recent improvement in their play will actually matter. But now here's a word from realtor Mike Burgoyne with strikewithmike.com.
A magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
Up next for the Blues, we got 3 games. The next 3 games are against teams not that far in front of the Blues in the standings. I guess when you're lower in the standings, most games are against teams ahead of you in the standings. But these 3, these 3 are, teams we want to pass in the near future here if we can put together a streak. If they want to make any move, it would behoove them to make a run here, starting with this last game against Nashville, and now Edmonton on Thursday night. Edmonton is 17-13-0, 34 points, 4th place in the Pacific, 7-3 in the last 10, and they're coming off a 6-3 win versus Nashville on Tuesday night. And then they have Calgary on Friday, Vancouver on Monday. So those are 3 games against 3 teams that are ahead of us in the conference standings. So it'd be nice to pass those 3 teams. We get a nice win streak started here.
And I think it was very important for them to win that Nashville game. It would have been really nice to win the Colorado game.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, with the fact that it's a season-long 5-game road trip coming up here. So, like you said, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle next Tuesday, and then on Friday they play Vegas before they come home after Christmas. So it was vitally important, I think, to get at least 2 points in those 2 games, and they got 3, which is nice, before hitting the road here. And like you said, I mean, these are all teams that are jockeying for playoff position right now. Edmonton, I think, is kind of underperformed this season, and of course, you've got the God. I just fuck the NHL scheduling, man. I hate it. Edmonton and Calgary back-to-back. Those 2 teams are starting to be pretty damn good. Getting them on back-to-backs all the time for all Western and Eastern teams is bullshit. Same with the Florida trip. Same when the Calgary or the California trip, when the California teams were all good. Like, break that shit up, man. Like, that is brutal, and you're just asking to give points to these good teams with these back-to-backs, but that's beside the point.
Calgary is 4-4. They've won 7 out of 10. Calgary is 4-4-2 in the last 10. But yeah, both.
But these 2 teams, for the most part, have been trending up for the past couple seasons.
Well, sure.
And I mean, I'm almost thinking like it's almost a fucking free 2 points for these 2 teams when you're on the second of the back-to-back. But either way, I expect to see Jordan Binnington clearly in net as long as he's healthy 100%. Maybe they try to give him one more day of rest just in case that arm still has a bruise on it or whatever. But I think you'll see Binnington in net Thursday night against Edmonton, and then of course Greiss in net Friday against Calgary.
You think?
Just because Binnington's played so well against Edmonton this season.
Well, I wonder, because he played back-to-back against Colorado and Nashville, and played well, and he's got days off in between. There's no 3 games in 4 nights here. They're playing 2 and they're off 2. They're playing 2 and they're off 2, which is weird because dating back to the Colorado game, the 6 games, Colorado, Nashville, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle, they're all paired up back-to-back. So it's 2 together and then 2 off days and 2 together. So I'm wondering since it worked out well last time, I wonder if Binnington plays well against Edmonton, I wonder if he'd play against Calgary.
I think you're more likely to see him play the back-to-back with Vancouver and Seattle. Edmonton
Maybe.
and Calgary are 2 tough tasks in a row.
Yeah, it probably depends on how the game goes, but I get you. It makes sense. Yeah, I
don't know.
I would like to see if he's hot, if he's playing well, which he has. The past 2 games look good. Man, I'd just like as far behind the 8 ball as this team is with points. I don't want to run him in the ground either, but I wouldn't be against starting him back-to-back nights sometime soon if he plays well, doesn't get a ton of work in one game or something. I wouldn't be against that at all.
Yeah, I guess that depends, but I mean, I think he's going to get a ton of work, and I think that's the
Maybe.
problem with his defense.
Well,
I think
right.
most nights he's going to get a ton of work.
It'll be interesting. They played Edmonton twice this year, and they played him twice really well. Should have beat him twice. Beat him the one time. And I'm really curious to see how this game's gonna go with this team, up and down right now. And now they're currently playing a little better. So I'm very curious to see how they play on Thursday night against Edmonton. That's gonna be I'm gonna wake up that morning thinking, okay, here we go. This is a big test tonight of the Blues' consistency, especially. I mean, keep it going against a team they played really well against this season. If they don't play well against Edmonton, and lose by 3 or 4 goals or whatever, and don't look good, then it's like, well, what the fuck's going on? You played well against Edmonton twice already, and you played a decent game against Colorado, a good game against Nashville, and now you should be on the upswing, and you lay an egg against Edmonton. That's going to piss me off and depress me. If they
gets back into the conversation of who is this team.
Right.
What is their identity?
No identity.
Yeah.
Give us an identity, please.
Yep.
So, and I guess this kind of, we kind of touched on this a little bit. Are the Blues showing signs of life? Kind of, maybe. Small sample size. My dog is pushing on my arm like crazy. Go away. Go lay down. I can't talk with you pushing me. And he weighs like 120 pounds too. So if he pushes me, I'm on a rolling chair so I can slide across the room. So they've got 3 or 4 points versus Colorado and Nashville, improved PK and mostly better defensive zone coverage. 2 of the biggest issues this team has had. It's gotten a little bit better past couple games. Again, small sample size. They're 5 points out of 3rd place in the Central. Not terrible, but the problem is Colorado is in that spot. And you'd assume they'd get better once they get healthy. And plus, Colorado has a couple games in hand as well. So there's also Minnesota and Nashville in between the Blues and Colorado in the standings as well.
It does go to show how much hockey the Blues have played in the past month and a half. Because I remember when we were bitching, like, man, teams are going to play 5 games before the Blues play in their first game,
Right.
And like, even after the Blues played their first game, they still had like a 4 or 5 day layoff until their second game. Like, we're all thinking, like, my God, some teams are going to have 12 games before the Blues play 3, like, it's ridiculous. But they've played a lot of hockey down the stretch, and you are hoping to bank some of those points for when the schedule gets a little easier around this time. Clearly, that did not happen. Now you have to really hope this team starts getting points going into the new year. But, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you just gotta hope they keep improving. Like, I'm sure you're going to go towards that.
Yeah, I was. And
see what
said,
happens.
I think you said last week, if this team improves its special teams, especially the PK, you got to assume that even just that aspect of their game is going to lead to more wins. So the PK has improved. Granted, it's a very small sample size, and I'm not saying they need to go on some crazy 30 penalty streak of not giving up a goal. I'm saying play 85 to 90% on the PK for the next 15 games. And all of a sudden we're having a conversation of this team's back in the playoff picture. Can they stay there? Is this the team that we're expecting to see? Or is it the team we saw a month ago? Like, a lot can change in that time, but you got to hope that PK and the power play stays strong as they continue to improve their game.
The game on Thursday versus Edmonton will be their 30th game of the season, and we're well into December now. So, it'll be decision time. pretty soon for Armstrong on what direction he actually goes with this team. Not that he can make a ton of moves, but there are a couple key guys and some role players that would be candidates to be moved if we're selling. And I'd imagine that decision to start actually talking to teams about possible trades, if it hasn't already, will be coming up in January. So, you've got Achari, you got Tarasenko and O'Reilly, Barbashev, maybe Grice. Maybe somebody wants Grice. I don't know. But I say that because Hofer is playing well for Springfield. And at some point, you probably want to get him up. Now, I assume they're thinking next year to give Hofer a shot up here to see if he can win a job. But, late in the season or around the trade deadline, if the Blues want to be sellers, they could trade Grice for I don't know, something to name later, and bring up Hofer for a few games just get his feet wet in the NHL. I can see that happening maybe. Barbashev, not sure how much he would bring in a trade. Tarasenko and O'Reilly could bring quite a bit. Chari,
Barbashev's the interesting one to me. I think he's as good as gone. I don't think there's any chance he comes back next year. He's interesting to me because, man, he had a ridiculous year last year. I've been singing his praises for years. I've loved him as a fourth line center. Clearly, he's more than that now, but he's not having the offensive year this year that he had last year. That goes without saying, but as a team that's potentially trying to acquire him, what are you willing to give up? Like that's the interesting piece for me. O'Reilly, Tarasenko, they're veteran guys. Proven what you're going to get out of them. Yep. Barbashev, he's such a question mark to me from another GM standpoint. Like, what am I willing to give up for this guy? Am I going to get the 70-point score from last year, or am I going to get whatever the hell he is this year? Like, what's the anomaly? Was it last year or was it this year? It's very interesting.
It's a great question. Is a second round pick too much for him?
I don't think so. Especially if you're I don't know, let's just say like a Pittsburgh, who maybe at the trade deadline, they're feeling like if we can just have that third line center, I'm drawing a blank on who their third line center is now, but like if we just have that guy behind Crosby and Malkin who can still put up great points, and we can even put on the power play and the penalty kill, like a team like that, I got to think they're willing to at least give up a second round pick. I don't want to trade within the division, but like a Dallas maybe, who's like, we got some great shit on this team, but like Sagan and Ben have fallen off. So maybe if we throw a Barbashev in the mix and put him in a power play role, like there's a lot of variables that go in. It's just, I don't know.
He's
asking
a valuable
the question because I really don't have an answer.
He's a valuable guy. He has an offensive upside. He can play. He hits. And he's a good checker. So I think he can play in all situations. So I think that he's got that going for him. And he proved last season he's got an offensive touch too. So I don't think a second round pick is asking too much for him, but like you said, I agree with you. I think he's gone. I think he gets a raise, and I think he's gone.
You think the Blues instead say, we don't want to pick, we want a prospect? Like we want a surefire prospect. You get Barbashev this year for your cup run, but we want a guy that we can plug in next year or the year after.
Maybe it depends how good the prospect is.
Yeah.
Barbashev's not a guy that you're gonna want to acquire to give up a surefire, top six guy.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? You just bring up the top six guy. If you're that.
I don't know. I'm just asking questions, Kurt.
Yeah. No, I get it. But no. So there's a handful of players that, and that's really about it. I'm not just in a nutshell. There's not too much else you can move that you can actually realistically get something for, because everyone has a no trade clause. There's 8 players. I think 8 no trade clauses on this team.
Yeah, it's
and then some other players, it's like, well, they're just, like your Logan Browns and your whoever, he's like, who cares? No one's going to, Walkers. No one's going to give you anything for these people. So I'm not. These are like there's like 5 guys that you can maybe 4 guys you can maybe get something for, and then Grice you probably couldn't get much for at all. But
Tarasenko
I mentioned him
and
for the
O'Reilly.
whole Hofer thing.
Tarasenko and O'Reilly are those the ones that people are going to be asking about. Again, I think Barbashev's a close third, but there's some question marks there. If they were to move on from Grice, and I'm still saying I'm okay with that signing. Somebody called him the worst backup in the league.
I don't get that at all.
I think he's been fine.
I do too.
He had a bad game.
His last game was a bad game against Winnipeg. That was bad. But
now it's like
all right.
Now let's just say because I'm sitting here thinking why would anybody want Grice? Again, not saying he's been bad, but it's like why would a cup contending team?
Injury.
If there's an injury to their backup, not even their starter.
Right.
If there's an injury to their backup, they're like, we need another guy in here that knows the NHL game and can play. Sure. That's the only way I think that happens. But if there's no injuries, the trade deadline to goalies, I don't think he gets moved.
And the only reason I brought that up was because of Hofer is in the waiting here. So I figured
I'm okay with that.
Getting him a few games at the end of the season, to play just to get his feet wet in the NHL. If we are, if we're sellers and not a playoff team.
Well, and I'm okay with that too, because I think you still then if you move Grice, I think you still then you have the option next summer of saying, well, we can go out and get another veteran to battle Hofer for that backup spot. Like, it's not a huge loss. It's not like, well, shit, now we have nobody to battle Hofer for that backup job. I think you can still go out and get another. I haven't looked at the list, but I'm sure there's somebody you can still go out and get.
Well, Grice is on a 1-year deal anyway, so it's not like he was in the plans for next year. So he's a 2-year deal? You're right.
Sure he's on a 2-year deal.
I believe you're right. Grice. Yep. No. 1-year deal. He's a UFA.
Are you sure?
He is signed for 22-23. That's it.
Okay. Is that in cap friendly you're seeing that?
Yeah. You don't believe me?
Oh, I'm looking in cap friendly. I'm with you. I just could have sworn he signed a 2-year deal.
Well, when you said that, I thought, oh yeah, I think he did. But then I looked and I'm like, oh no, 1-year deal. So you got you got guys like Logan Brown. You got that's about it.
Well, then I think you definitely try to move him if you can, but I don't see anyone unless there's an
6th round draft pick or something.
Anyone, yeah.
No one's going to give anything a value for him. You just take a low round pick, and then you just
take whatever you can just to get something, because you're not going to bring him back.
Yeah, Pavel Datsyuk.
Yeah, and I think
was drafted in the 6th round.
I wonder if you even consider that, even if the Blues are in a playoff picture and playing great, because it's like, well, why not? We're not going to sign him next year. Joel Hofer's still, if he's still playing great in Springfield, why not?
Well, yeah, you'd have to get him some games first, though. But yeah, I hear you. It's rare that a backup goalie, I guess not anymore. I guess it's rare that a backup goalie plays to relieve a solid number one, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got a 1A, 1B situation, you go with last season, Binnington and Husso. It's kind of like a 1A, 1B. Husso started off the playoffs and then Binnington took over. That was a little different. But you're not going to see a lot of Elliott in for Vasilevsky in the playoffs.
No.
So after we got a break here coming up, we'll talk about the lower than expected salary cap projection for next season and how that will affect the Blues. Plus, Pierre LeBrun suggests a play-in series for the playoffs that the Board of Governors seems to like. But now let's hear from our friends over at Center Ice Brewery.
Do you like hockey? No, of course you do. Do you like beer? Of course you do. Are you 21? Well, let's hope so. If you answered yes to all of those questions, run on down to your local beer distributor and pick up a 2-4 of Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, or any other delicious hockey-themed beer from Center Ice Brewery. That's right, Center Ice Brewery beer is available at various beer stores around town, so check around for the one closest to you. That's Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues.
The NHL salary cap has been projected during the NHL Board of Governors meetings that just happened. They always give every year they give a tease for the projected salary cap increase for next season. And Jeff, remember when not too long ago, just maybe a month ago, that the thought was that the salary cap would go up by about 3 to 4 million next season.
Yeah. And the conversation was, who do you keep, O'Reilly or Tarasenko?
Yeah, because you need that money if you want to keep somebody.
Yep.
So it would appear that despite some hope back in previous months that the cap could jump by more than 4 million, if a certain revenue threshold was met this season, the league will fall short of that. The players won't quite be done paying off the escrow from the pandemic, and therefore we're looking likely at just a $1 million bump in the salary cap this summer to $83.5 million. And I think I said this on Twitter. I was like, if people were still holding out hope that we could afford Ryan O'Reilly to re-sign him, I think this threw a bunch of cold water all over that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think definitely either him or Tarasenko are coming back. The only way that I see that working is if somehow I don't know when exactly he's due back. I think it's not for a while. You can move the Scandella contract. Maybe you can find a way to move the a Krug contract or something. But I think if you're talking about moving Krug, you're not wanting to resign O'Reilly or Tarasenko because this team's not a playoff team, and you're wanting to retool. So I don't see that being the case either. I think 100% both those guys are gone. I don't know. It puts us in such a weird position. We've been here before, right? David Perron, expiring contract, gone for no return. Alex Pietrangelo, expiring contract, gone, no return. Like, you don't want to see that again, but man, if this team starts picking it up, it's like, oh boy, do you hold on to these guys? And the only way that I see it, and again, I don't know how they make it work, is if somehow throughout the season they find a way to improve this defense. Even if this team is barnstorming and they're first in the league somehow, which I don't think is going to happen, I think you still got to move them because I don't see this team winning a Stanley Cup with this defense. So unless you are finding a way to actually improve that defense, man, with there being not the salary room, you got to move both those guys. You just can't. You can't sign either of them, so you can't keep them. You got to get something in return.
Yeah, and I guess if there were any time in this franchise's history to buy out a contract, one with a no trade clause, I think this offseason would be the time to do it because you're just so limited in what you can do. If you want to get better, there's just too many no trade clauses on the books. You've got to buy out like a Scandella, or you got to buy out somebody. You're not going to buy out a guy like Krug or a guy with like years left on the contract. You're going to buy out a Scandella.
You're talking about paying what 12 years to those guys.
Yeah, you got to stretch out over twice the length of the contract, and it's yeah. So if you bought out Scandella, you'd be buying him out for one season, which that would be is what it is. But that's the only guy I can see that happening to. But if there's ever a point where they were going to buy somebody out, which they really haven't, who'd they buy out? They bought out
Dallas Drake.
Dallas Drake. They bought
and Jay McKee.
Jay McKee. They bought Drake?
Yes,
I thought it was just McKee.
No, they bought out both.
Okay.
Yep. Dallas Drake was bought out and then he won a cup with Dallas. Fuck him. Yeah. No, and I've said this on the show before. I hate how every buyout period, this media, this Blues fan base celebrates like, oh man, how great is it that we're the only team that's never really bought out anybody in the Doug Armstrong era? And I'm like, I don't fucking care. He should have bought out players to the contracts he signed guys to.
The point if it'd be a nice point, a nice feather in your cap to have, if you could say, how nice is it that we've never had a situation where we've needed to buy out a contract, or had to buy out a contract, or should buy out a contract. That's not
This
the
team's been in that case
yeah.
many times. I mean,
Just
how
because
many times have we heard
the team have a need
there's
to.
only so much this team can do because we're up against the cap? And it's like, well, if you would have bought out that terrible contract last year, we wouldn't be up against the cap right now.
And the thing is that the Blues do spend to the cap, so that's part of the reason why this $1 million increase is not going to help them as much as they need it to.
It will help them a little bit. I do think you'll
Not
see. I think you'll see maybe some defensive help brought in if they can make some moves over the summer. Again, you're going to lose the Barbashev, O'Reilly, and Tarasenko contract.
yeah, but you got to pay Thomas and Kyrie. That kicks in next year.
Yeah,
That's 16
true.
million. That's 16 million.
But there's still going to be some money freed up. And I hate to put more money towards this damn overpaid defense, but you got to do it. I mean, it's an abysmal defense. You got to do something with it.
Well, that's why I said I was like, they're talking about what to do with what move to make in the offseason. I'm like, you got to make a move for the defense. You have to. And you got to hope that your forwards perform as expected. And the defense, and what's rough about this defense, they don't have a number one defense, a true NHL caliber number one elite defenseman. And they've got guys who in short spurts can play that way. Falk has played that way for short periods of time. But that's about it. They've got a bunch of number 3 and 4s. So they need a number one, and those don't come cheap or grow on trees. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. People, and it's funny because you see people with solutions that'll post on social media, and they're like, you got to trade Krug. I'm like, he has a fucking no trade clause. We got to trade Parayko. He has a no trade clause. And unless they waive them, they're not going to go anywhere.
I was going to say, there are ways to get around it. If this team decides to do a little bit of a retool or I hate to say the word rebuild, but if they do,
they might want out.
There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance that they'll say, I want to win right fucking now. And I'm in my prime. I need to win now. So move me so I can go be on a team that wants to win right this minute.
From everything that's being said about Parayko, though, Parayko loves St. Louis, and every time it's brought up, people are like, I don't see him waiving his no trade. JR said that. Thomas has said that.
Why? And not to pull a Darren Pang here, but why wouldn't you? If I'm Colton Parayko, I am making good money to play mediocre defense. Fine, pay me through the rest of my contract. And I'm not in Toronto to where if I go out to dinner, I'm going to get bombarded by fans. Blues fans are fairly respectable. You'll get the odd nut who's going to come up and bug you and your family at dinner. But for the most part, Blues fans are, hey, Colton, just wanted to say, good game last night. Love the way you play. That's it. Walk away. That's it. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to stay here? Why not?
I'm just saying that people will suggest trading these players, and they fight for no trade clauses in their contracts for a reason, because they don't want to be traded or they want to have a say in where they go.
That's what I think it is more. I think
some
of them,
maybe
there are a lot who say, I literally don't want to leave here right now. I love this place that I'm at. But I think a lot of them, it's more just, I want to tell you where I'm going. If you're going to move me, you're going to move me where I want to go.
Yeah, and that's quite possible. But I also think there's probably some guys who are like, nope. Like what you have about Parayko. He loves St. Louis, doesn't want to leave. So, and players get established in a place. They raise a family in a town. And some players don't want to leave. They don't want to uproot their family. Pietrangelo had no problem leaving St. Louis for Vegas, but everyone's different. So maybe some guys would waive the no trade if they were asked to. But a lot of times too, players may not necessarily want out of a situation unless there's a problem with the coach and them, or there's something bad's happening, and they can't. The stuff's not working. They're playing terribly. They're catching a lot of flack. They can't handle it. It's not a good situation. I don't know if any of the Blues players fall in that situation or not, but or how they feel personally.
It doesn't sound like it.
Only they know.
And listen, again, we're not Toronto. We're not even Montreal. We're not hearing as much about the locker room stuff as, of course, they're losing. So we're hearing there's locker room issues. That's going to happen everywhere. But we don't hear a lot of the ins and outs like we do in some of the Canadian cities. So as far as we know, everything's hunky-dory. They want to stay. They're happy here. Now, I could see a guy like Torrey Krug. Boston's making a nice run. They need a defenseman. What do you think? Yeah, come up with a trade proposal and, we'll talk. Like, maybe. I'm interested. But I think it's more what you're saying. I do think it's more they love it here. And goddamn you, St. Louis, for being such a lovable city. Because these guys don't want to go anywhere.
Let's say O'Reilly and Tarasenko both leave in the offseason, or they're traded, whatever. Next season, man, that's a pretty big changing of the guard, right? I mean, you're probably gonna. I mean, I'm thinking you name Schenn as captain next season. That's my pick. Some people are saying Thomas, but I think that's too young. He's too young for that.
I don't even think it's too young. I just don't see him as the team leader that a
You know what though?
is.
Who's the one that is almost always giving post-game interviews and in between periods? It's Thomas.
Yeah, it is
Thomas is always talking. He's always the guy. I mean, he's frequently the guy, more so than anybody else. Talking to the reporters, talking to the cameras. I wonder if that's by design, or am I reading too much into that as far as what the team is trying to do to maybe see what kind of a leader he is in that respect? I don't know. That's interesting to me because of all guys, Thomas to be doing so many post-game interviews. Interesting. But so next year, no Tarasenko and no O'Reilly, maybe.
You got to assume.
Captain,
you got to assume that at this point they were hoping Jake Neighbors was going to be taking a huge step forward.
Yeah.
And he has not, unfortunately. No. He's been fine when he's here, but he hasn't become nearly at all a top 6 guy on this team. And I think that was kind of the expectation with Perron leaving and Neighbors going full pro. That hasn't happened yet. Zachary Bolduc has looked pretty good.
That's what
so
they
you
say.
You have to assume he's at least going to get a nice long look next year at training camp. So, again, I think it's a huge step back with a Neighbors and a Bolduc, especially with Bolduc being his first full pro year. But I think that's kind of the goal. But I could see this team taking a really big step back next year. I mean, granted, might already be this year, but I can see this team not being a playoff team next year, and then hoping that these guys get a year under their belt, and then they start becoming the future of this team, led by, as weird as it sounds, the veterans of Thomas and Kyrou. And all of a sudden, this is a whole new young Blues offense.
It's a pretty big offseason for this team. And it's funny saying that 29 games into the season, but it'll be a big second half of the season, trade deadline and off season with the moves they need to make, but they're handcuffed, so they can't do a whole lot. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Schenn for captain or Justin Falk?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think your dark horse pick is Justin Falk. Yeah, again, guy on contract, a guy who's been a leader for this club since his second year here. But I think Braden Schenn is the definite pick for me. But I mean, Justin Falk, I think he deserves some credit for a look.
I wonder, if there's any truth to Tarasenko wanting to be captain. I wonder if there's any O'Reilly's leaving. If you want to sign here for less, you be captain next season.
Who knows? Could you imagine? I've heard some rumors that he only wants to sign in Washington, and they will find the cap to make it work.
Huh.
Can you imagine him playing with Ovechkin and him being a part of that moment when he passes Gretzky?
I mean, if he wants to be in Washington, then he can sign there this offseason if he's
We'll
not
see.
traded. But that'll be interesting if he's traded, because if he's traded and the Blues want a good return for him, the team that trades for him is going to want to sign him, right?
Yeah.
If they can't sign him, they're not going to give a lot for him because he's a rental. So the Blues are going to get screwed. And if he wants to go to Washington, and Washington won't trade for him, then the Blues are kind of over a barrel. So they're going to have to accept whatever at the deadline.
It'll be a Shattenkirk type deal where everyone knew he was going to sign with the Rangers, right? Like everyone and their mother was like, he's going to the Rangers. But the Blues, like, we got to move him. And they tried to move him, was at Edmonton. And he was like, I won't resign there. And Edmonton was like, well, then fuck you.
It was for Taylor Hall.
Taylor
right?
Hall. Yep. And then they said, Washington, take him as a rental. And they were like, okay, we'll give you Zach Sanford. And it was like, okay, we got to do it. Like, as long as Shattenkirk says, like, I'll play there the rest of the season, but I'm not resigning there. And that's exactly what happened.
Zach Sanford versus Taylor Hall.
Yeah. They got something else that Phoenix Copley, right?
Yeah. Who we just let go after that too.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
Yeah, I agree. And he went back to Washington. Now he's in Anaheim, which, good luck, Phoenix Copley.
Yeah. Mike McKenna used, I think it was Mike McKenna, broke down Phoenix Copley as a proper way to make a particular save on Twitter. That was the other day, because he made he was out top of the crease and he had to slide back across to the post to make a save. And instead of sliding over out in front of the post, he slid back right to the post. And that allowed him to stay in the crease and not slide out of the position. And he broke it down as a clinic in goaltending.
Friend of the show.
Mike McKenna.
By the way, we kind of messed this up, but it's also because Doug Armstrong messed this up. Originally, the Blues acquired Phoenix Copley in the Oshie trade. And then, for no fucking reason at all,
that's right,
the Blues sent him back with Shattenkirk in the deal to get Zach Sanford, Brad Malone, a 2017 first-round pick, and then a 19 conditional second-round pick. It's like, you did not have to include Copley in that.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I knew it was something goofy with him leaving.
So weird.
Yeah. So Pierre LeBrun had a write-up in The Athletic today that talked about an item that was not formally discussed at the recent Board of Governors meeting, but it was a poll he did among the league governors. How would you feel about a play-in series for the NHL playoffs? So it was the most talked about concept would be a number 7 versus number 10 seed, and a number 8 versus number 9 in each conference, and a best of 3 series held quickly over 3 days max, no travel. The higher seed gets to host the entire 3-game series in their building, and that's what some people would like to see. And LeBrun asked 12 governors, and it was 12-0 in favor of the NHL adding a play-in round. There wasn't a single voice of dissent, which I found interesting.
Yes, but let me add this. I want, and I know he can't say, I want to know which 12 governors. Because if he specifically asked 12 governors of teams that have legitimately not made the playoffs the past 8-9 years, they're all going to say, yeah, play-in round. But if he's asking Washington, St. Louis, Colorado, I don't know, Vegas, I wonder if they have a different idea on it.
Well, everyone makes more money. More, and down the stretch, there's more interest for more teams. The games are more meaningful. They're drawing more fans. That 3-game playoff series to get into the playoffs would be, so it's 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9. So it's 2 3-game series. That's
So what? Okay,
that's a lot.
What do you think?
You know what? Okay, more meaningful games for more teams late in the season. For it. That sounds fun to me. It doesn't affect the 16-team final playoff format. So that you're not really adding more teams to playoffs. It's a pre-playoff kind of a thing. It would be fun. Although I do worry that it would end up like the bubble in a way, where there's a play-in kind of thing, where there's teams that were already like in playoff mode, playing playoff games for 2-3 games already or whatever, and they're jumping in against a team that's been resting for a little bit. So you know what I mean? So those teams that had to play in and won that 8th spot, then they'd be playing against the number 1 seed, but they'd already have, they'd be like in playoff mode already for a handful of games. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. But I'm more hockey, more playoff type hockey. Okay, I like it. Fine. You don't like it?
No, I hate it.
Okay.
I'm actually with Bettman. I think now I'll say the positives in it, which is why it's going to happen. It will eventually happen, is because it is more revenue. More playoff games, basically more games overall, right? Like you're going to have all of those games televised on ESPN and TNT. And so that's more viewership. Plus you're getting more sold out games for the top seed. It's going to be more revenue because it's more games. So it does make sense from a business standpoint to do it just because it's going to bring in more money. I hate it because I do think it illegitimizes the 16-team playoff. I think
How so?
You battle all season to get in that top 8. Now it's you battle to be in the top 10. Now you still don't finish outside of the top 6, right? Because then you have to play into the playoffs. But I just feel like the battle, like I agree with Bettman in the exact statement of you're trying to fix what isn't broken. Like the fact that these teams all battle down to the wire for that 8th seed. Like we saw Philadelphia, was that in 2010, go all the way to the Stanley Cup final and literally had to win in the final game of the regular season to make it into the playoffs. Like we're already seeing an awesome battle to get into the playoffs. Like now you're just adding more teams. And I think we're seeing half the league make the playoffs. That's enough. I don't think we need more teams in the playoffs.
When Bettman took over in 30 years ago, there were 16 of the 24 teams made the playoffs. Now it's 16 of 32. It used to be 16 of 21 back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So the league
has way too many to me.
The league has increased by 11 teams since that time, and the number of playoff teams has stayed the same. So I think, I think, I don't have a problem with the 16 teams that get in the playoffs. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. Some people make fun of it and saying, "Oh, half the league makes playoffs." I don't care. It's great hockey. What do I care how many it is? It's fantastic hockey. I'm for it. It just changes the goalposts from fighting like hell to secure a for sure playoff spot from the top 8 in your conference to the top 6, right? So, and then 7, 8, and then 9 and 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 would then battle it out for the bottom 2 seeds, I guess. So, I don't, you know what? I don't see a problem with giving it a try for 5 years or whatever. And if it doesn't go over well, then go back, because they've changed playoff formats from time to time anyway.
I don't think they change the amount of teams that get in, though. I think if they
but they're
say
not getting
we'll
in, though.
try
they're not getting in. It's a play in.
Aren't they though?
It's a play in.
Aren't they? That's still playoffs.
No, it's a play in.
Just like how the wild card series is playoffs. Like it's the same thing. It's in baseball. It's
not playoffs though. It's the wild card. It's the wild card.
if one of these
it's a
teams
one
goes
game
on
playoff.
let me put it like this: if they go into
A three-game,
win
yeah.
the Stanley Cup, one of these teams,
Yeah.
their goalie is going to get 19 wins or 18 wins. That's a
Mhm.
playoff game. Then, if you're going to count the stats as a playoff game, those are playoff games. So
They did count the stats in the bubble, didn't they?
yes, they did.
As playoff. Yeah. See, that's I don't agree with that. If it's not playoffs, then don't count it as playoff stats. Count it as like shootout goals. They don't count towards your goal total, something like that. I
Well,
wouldn't.
I'm just saying, to me, that means it's a playoff game. And I feel like that is, and I know that the argument is it's not really a playoff game, but to me it is. Those are playoff games.
It's okay. I mean, we could argue
And I
semantics.
just,
Play
I
in
think
versus
we're
playoff.
already, I think we're already half the league in. And if the argument is, well, back when it was 21 teams, there were 16 teams that made it, that's ridiculous. I agree. It should have been 10 teams, 11 teams back then. The fact that the number of teams has grown doesn't mean to me that they need to add more teams in the playoffs. It just means they're correcting the mistakes from before.
But again, from the other side, is they're not adding more teams in the playoffs. It's still 16. There's a play-in to determine the final two in each conference.
I'll argue that. I will die on that hill, sir. Those
Okay.
are playoff games to me.
Not the same. They're all 7-game series in the playoffs. The play-in is it's all at one building, all in one building, 3 games, just like
You
baseball.
say that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You say that, but those baseball stats, they go towards the postseason stats. So
And they shouldn't. And they shouldn't. If they're does baseball call it playoffs?
yeah, they do.
Okay. No. I mean, do they call the wild card series
Yes.
playoffs? Okay.
Yes.
Well, Bettman came out and said that he doesn't want that to be playoffs, and so if they did go this route, maybe they would structure it so it wouldn't. I don't know.
So what you're just going to play these games and not have it marked as stats anywhere? That feels even weirder to me. You're just going to have like wild card stats?
Why not? There's playoff stats separate from regular season.
No, you can't have a
Why?
third.
Why? Why not? There's 2.
Why would you?
Why? Why not?
I feel like you should be the one arguing for like why you would add wild card stats.
Well, if you're going to, you said that they won't count towards anything. I said, well, count as wild card stats. And you said, why? And I said, because they count towards something like that. There's playoff stats and there's regular season stats. They don't merge together.
But you're saying they don't fit into playoffs and they don't fit into regular seasons. So you're saying make a third set of stats just for wild card stats?
Why not? There's already 2.
Weird
There's
as
2 sets.
hell.
Why is it weird as hell? There's already 2. What's one more?
Because there's postseason and there's season. That's it.
Playoffs, and play in, and then regular season.
Why is there a play-in? No, that's
if
ridiculous.
If they have the play-in, if the play-in is not considered playoffs, and I don't know what the league's going to say about it if they do this, but if the play-in is not considered playoffs, then why not have a separate category for those?
That's weird because you're only going to have, 12 games total that are going to add to that every year? Like, that's weird to have a third stat just for because your team's not good enough to make the playoffs, so you have to play in the play-in round. That's weird. No, I don't like that at all.
Why is it so weird? They have separate playoff stats from regular season.
You're the one arguing to add a third set of stats. Why am I the one defending the way it is? You should be the one.
I'm arguing. I suggested it because you said, what are they going to do? Just not count stats for that round? I said, no, just add a third one. That was my solution.
That's not a solution.
That is a solution. It's just, you just don't like it.
Terrible solution.
Well, what do you think? This conversation was probably had before playoffs started. What do you count playoffs towards regular season? No, you make a separate category for playoffs and not regular season. Well, that's silly because one team might be out in 4 games.
That's not silly.
One team might be out.
Makes total sense.
One team might be out in 4 games.
No,
so it's only
that
4
makes
games.
Total sense. Absolutely not. No,
I'm not saying.
Now you're throwing weird shit out there.
No, I'm not. I'm saying there's a playoff. If they go this route, you could have, and they might merge wild card with playoff stats, which is weird because then
that's what they would.
You have to consider it playoffs if you do that because this doesn't make any sense. you can't just like ceremoniously call it no playoffs, but then have everything count towards playoffs. So, and if they do it that way, now, if they were to say, okay, wild card stats do not count towards playoff stats, then Jeff, what would you say?
I'd say, why are you adding a wild card at all?
No, I'm telling you, let's say this is the way they're going to do it. We're going to have a wild card. We're going to have the play-in, not wild card. We'll have the play-in series, right? But the stats for these are not going to count towards playoffs. They're not counting towards regular season either.
My answer is, if you're having a play-in series, they have to count towards playoffs.
No, but I'm telling you that I'm giving you a scenario.
There's no other solution, though.
I'm giving you a scenario. I'm saying, yes, there is. Add a third stat category. That's a solution.
No, that is not a solution.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not a possible solution.
I'm saying it's a ridiculous solution that they would never do.
But it's a possible solution.
They would never do that, ever, in a million years. I'm telling you, that will not happen.
Do you know what they do in baseball? They have stats for the wild card games for most, highest batting average in a wild card playoff. They have all
baseball.
Those are all separate stats.
They have stats for each round. The NHL does not do that. The NHL has regular season, playoffs. And the MLB has regular season, wild card, divisional series, championship. Like, they structure them out. The NHL has never officially done that. It's always, when you see like, this player had the most points in the first round, it's some obligatory blog post from thehockeywriters.com. Like, it's not anything sanctioned by the NHL.
You still haven't answered my question, though. I said, if the NHL says that they're going to use the play-in system starting in 5 years or whatever, but the stats for the play-in series will not count towards playoffs, what would you say?
I don't have a solution, because that doesn't make sense.
Why not?
It's a play-in round, so that makes it a playoff game.
No, a play-in round literally makes it not a playoff round. It's play-in.
So what does it make it then? A regular season?
It's a play-in. It's a different category. It's a brand new category.
It has a third category.
The NCAA basketball does this. They have play-in.
I don't pay attention to that. So,
well, I'm telling you, they have it, and baseball has it now too.
Baseball, they just break their playoffs divisionally up. Like,
no, they have
by round.
They have a wild card playoff. They had Cardinals played in a 3-game playoff series last season.
I think that's ridiculous, and
well,
I think
I'm just telling
there's
you,
no way.
But
I'm just
okay,
telling you, you're saying
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But you're saying, but I'm telling you, that's how things happen.
That's not how it's going to happen in the NHL.
And I'm asking you, if the NHL says we're going to do this, but we don't want stats in the play-in to count towards playoffs, you think it's ridiculous to have just a play-in round stat category?
Yes.
Why?
Why the fuck would you have that?
That's not an answer.
No sense to me.
It's a separate category. Then it's not playoffs. It's not regular season. It's a new category. You should have stats for that category.
Season and there's playoffs. There's nothing else.
According to who? Why are you capping it at 2?
All of time and history.
Yeah, and you know what? There were only 6 teams in the NHL too for a while, for all in time in history, and they doubled it, and they doubled the amount of playoff rounds too.
I don't know what you're wanting me to say, because I don't have a solution for it.
I gave you a solution, and you said it was ridiculous.
But I'm saying I don't have an answer for it, because I don't think it should happen. I think it's very silly to create this.
Either you add the stats to the playoff stats, which is dumb, because if you're not,
that is my answer.
If you're not to add them to the playoff stats,
that's the only solution.
But if you're not no, it's not. I just gave you a solution. You're saying there's no other solution.
That's not a proper solution.
If the play-in round is not considered playoffs, you can't have the stats for the play-in round count towards playoff stats.
That's where we are differing here, is that if you're making a play-in round, that makes it playoffs to me. So you are going to have to add all play-in stats to the playoffs.
And if they word it that way and they say that, it's fine. But I'm saying that based on what Gary Bettman said, a 16 playoff team format is perfect. He doesn't want to mess with it. So you're going to call the play-in round. You're going to determine who gets those final 2 spots, and then you're going to have your playoffs. Play-in, regular season, play-in rounds, playoffs. Other sports are going to this. That's what they're doing.
I don't like it. I think it's stupid. I don't like it in the NBA. I think it's completely silly.
NBA, NCAA, baseball.
You have your top teams. I hate it in baseball. I actually hated the wild card series this year. Now, clearly, the Cardinals lost. That didn't help.
In baseball, they used to have the division winners play each other and then go to the World Series. I mean, it was much shorter playoffs, but they've expanded the league. They expanded more teams in the playoffs.
But I'm just saying, I think the way it is now is working just fine. I don't see, again, what Bettman said. You're trying to fix a problem that isn't there. Like, it's not broken. I'm 100% with them on that.
I don't think it's broken. I think if it's proposed, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to see how that worked out. I wouldn't mind seeing that, to see the play-in series. That'd be kind of cool. Now it would suck for the 7th place team to lose to the 10th seed in a 3-game series.
And that will happen.
But they'd have all 3 games in their home building. So I mean, if you can't beat a 10th seed, if you're the 7th seed in your building twice, I don't know. Do you deserve to go on?
I mean, probably not. At the end of the day, and that's also my problem with it, is in a 7-game series, the best team will always win. Always. In a 3-game series, I don't know if that's really the case.
Well, a 3-game series. If the Blues and Hawks and the Blues and Kings had 3-game series back in the day, the Blues won the first 2 and that was it, done. Yep. They lost the next 4.
That's true.
But then again, I mean, if you're playing in a 3-game series and you're down a game, it's do or die in the second. It's not do or die in a 7-game series. So there's a different attitude too.
Austin Lynch says, I'm back, boys. Had to step out. Austin, you just missed probably the best part of the show. Kurt and I just went at it.
Only because Jeff doesn't understand what's going on.
Oh, no. It's because Mr. Price doesn't understand what's going on.
No, a very simple question he has yet to answer. So,
because it's not a real question.
It is a real question. It is a very real possibility it's going to happen.
You're asking me to exclude the only solution to your problem.
There is not
excluding excluding 4. What's the answer to 2 + 2 is what you're asking me.
You said there's only one solution, and you had one solution. You're saying yours is the only one. When I proposed the solution,
your question was if they said that the play-in round, the playoff, or did not include in playoff stats, what do? My answer is you can't have a play-in round without including them in playoff stats.
But you're changing the question.
No, I'm not.
My question is, if Bettman determines that the play-in round is not playoffs and the playoff stats and the play-in stats don't count towards playoffs, then how do you categorize those play-in stats?
But that's not changing the question, because Bettman can't determine that. If he does,
that is my question.
Lost his fucking mind.
That is my question, though, and you're changing the question.
No. He can't determine that, because a play-in round is playoffs.
He can determine.
We are never going to agree on this.
He can determine that. He's the commissioner.
So what's your solution then? Your solution is having the 3rd play-in round stats.
You have your regular season stats, you have your play-in stats, and you have your playoff stats. I don't know why you think that's ridiculous.
I think
it's a different category.
Asinine.
It's a different category. It's not asinine because
who cares about play-in stats?
You can't roll. You even said yourself you can't roll them into playoff stats because teams get more games than other teams. It doesn't. It's not right. It's weird. You can't
roll them into regular season.
I didn't either. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I know.
That's why it has to have its own separate category.
Why would you have your own category for that?
I just explained to you why.
So it doesn't. It's so
because you can't have
outlandish
because
and
you're going to have
no me.
Because you could have a goalie have 2 more victories and have 18 wins, right? And set new records. You could have guys have extra games and so you're going to have like goal totals that are like skewed because one person had the opportunity to play in more games than somebody else. So records and things are kind of off in playoff stats. You have to have asterisks and stuff.
So, okay. So let's just, hey, Marcy, who just started watching hockey, let me show you some stats leaders here. Okay, let's look at this. Regular season, playoffs, and play-in round. What the hell? Let's try and make hockey more confusing and harder to learn for the average fan. Let's just do that.
Every sport does this.
Is the NBA going to have a separate play-in
I don't
round?
know. I don't follow the NBA. I don't know what stats they.
1,000% they are not going to.
I don't a separate. What'd you say? A separate play-in round?
They're going to have
stats.
I'm saying a play-in round stats.
Oh, I don't know.
I guarantee you those stats from the play-in round are going to go into the playoff stats.
And
that's
and
what's
that's
going to happen.
And so someone who has like the most playoff goals might play in 3 extra playoff games that somebody else may never play in.
Exactly.
And that's messed up. So you can't roll them into playoff stats.
But
you can't
that's
do that.
what they're going to do. That's the only solution.
That's not the only solution. You keep saying that. You could easily, they could say, we're going to have a separate play-in stat category, and that's what it would be. That is a solution. You can't you say that rolling them into playoff stats is the only solution. That's not true. They could do it this way. Will they? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe not.
No.
But they could. It's a solution. It is a solution.
That's what. But it's a bad solution.
No, it isn't. It's
Yes,
a fair.
it is.
It's a fair solution, is what it is. It's fair because rolling play-in stats into a playoff stat category is not fair. It's skewed. And you can't put them in regular season because it's extra games. You got to have their own category. Now, whether they will, I don't know, but they should. Just like we argued in the bubble that those stats shouldn't count towards playoffs.
Yes, I agree with that.
Right.
Kurt, this show will never end if this continues.
All right, fine.
Agree to disagree here.
Alex Ovechkin gets his 800th goal and joins Gretzky. Gretzky and Howe is the only 2 players to score 800 goals. Howe finished with 801, but he played forever. Gretzky scored 894, which if he plays one more season, he gets 900. God damn it. So that's fun. So he's gonna have he's got 94 goals to go, which I think will probably take him play 3 more seasons. He might get it. Yeah.
Yep. You just mentioned Gretzky. One more season, he gets 900. You think at that point he cared?
No.
He was so far ahead of everyone else. He was just like, what's 900 goals to me? Like, that means nothing.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I mean, anytime you see Gretzky in an interview, it's almost like he has this ambivalence about him. I don't know what it is about Gretzky and interview. I mean, now on the TNT panel, he's good, but during interviews and things, man, I don't know. Gretzky is a very intimidating guy in a sense where he seems like he's always a little annoyed at being interviewed. He's got that tone or that look on his face where he's just like, yeah, I'd rather not be here a little bit. And it's just like, well, I don't want to piss this guy off because he's the greatest hockey player ever. I don't want to piss him off. And it's always had that aura to me, like he doesn't want to be doing what he's doing outside of hockey. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me. Yeah. But yeah. So So as far as his records go, I kind of think that kind of falls in the same category. It's like, I got so many records. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm already the goal leader, and at that point, I think it was no one is ever going to fucking catch me. Like, what's 6 more goals? Like 894 is pretty damn impressive. I'm an elite company. Only Gordy has scored 800 goals in their career. So like, who cares? So, go ahead.
I was say I think the only thing stopping Ovechkin from catching Gretzky is injury. Because he is going to play until he breaks it. I think he'll play 5 more seasons until he breaks it. He's not going to stop playing.
Well, and did you see that stat about like how many games it took him to get from 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300? His pace is not far off from when he was young.
Right.
Like,
and he really increased his pace. He increased his pace mid-career.
Yeah.
Big time. So
it's very impressive. And Patrick Kane almost died so he could score his
Yeah,
800th
I
goal.
saw that.
Good.
He came flying out of nowhere and
Well,
tripped
then
over.
he got tripped by Jack Johnson.
Yeah, got tripped by and oh my god, I did, and the camera, the angles I saw didn't show him actually hitting the boards. I wasn't sure how he went in, but oh my god, I thought, oh my god,
Oh,
oh my god,
there's an angle from the far side camera where you can see him, and he went in hard, like head first, and he got up and skated away just fine. But holy shit, I don't like Patrick Kane, but I was like, oh my god, Patrick Kane just died.
yeah. He's gonna get traded, right? He has to get traded. Has to.
Oh yeah, he is 100%.
And then we talked about did we ever bet about Taves getting traded? You said no one wants him. But I said
he's
he get
having
traded.
a pretty good year. I might need to walk that back.
No, you can't walk it back now. You gotta stand firm.
All right, fuck him. Yeah, nobody wants him. Fuck Captain Bitch.
But they should both be traded, right? I mean, they have no
should.
future in Chicago at this point.
I would think at this point that Seth Jones would want to get traded too, but nobody's taking that contract.
Yeah, what he went there at the wrong time.
Oh yeah.
Oof, God. Maybe he loves Chicago though. Maybe it's like, I don't know.
Well,
I can see loving Chicago and just wanting to play there.
I would too, but no, I think he went there because they went and got Fleury. They still had Kane and Taves, and DeBrincat was still there.
Yeah.
that other kid that they traded, Kirby Doc, right? But I think he went there thinking they're on the upswing, and that quickly changed last season.
You know when I think it all started to go downhill for Chicago when they traded away Panarin.
Yeah,
like early, like he had 2 years left on his contract, and they traded him away because they didn't want to pay him when his contract was up, and they traded him away early. And I was like, "Wow, really?" Because
remember who they got for him?
No. Who they get?
You're gonna laugh. Brandon Saad.
Oh, that's right.
They got him back.
That's right. That's right. To play with Taves. That's right.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out too well.
No. Not
yeah.
at all.
Panarin to me was one of the most dynamic guys in the league, and him and Kane scared the fuck out of me.
Yep.
On the power play. They had a huge weapon there, and they just dismantled it. And early, and they had to. I don't know. And and ever since then, they've ended up in the same.
Agree. Well, anyway, congrats to Alex Ovechkin.
Yes.
Can't wait to watch him break the record. And I think unlike we talked about with Gretzky, I think once he breaks that record and gets 895, he wants 5 more. Get to 900. I think that's a much different scenario.
Yeah, I agree. You hear Gretzky is planning on traveling with him when he gets close. He's going to travel. He's going to travel with the team and be there for when he does break the record. So I mean, he's probably got a couple years yet plus, but it'll be interesting to see when he starts traveling. Probably when he's like 4 or 5 goals away, I guess, something like that.
Oh, I'm sure when he's at like 888, 889, like start traveling with the team, and hey Janet, I'm gonna be gone for a couple weeks. You might not see me for a while.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. So hopefully we're still doing the Let's Go Blues radio podcast in 2.5, 3 years when that happens. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, we will be. And if not, we'll be passing off the mantle to somebody else to do it.
Yeah, right. We'll sell the show to somebody.
Right.
And in closing, we can answer Austin's question, I guess. What should I DoorDash?
White Castle.
Oh, yes, White Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Always the right call.
That is, yeah. I was going to what can we say? And you're like, White Castle. I'm like, nailed it. Done.
Yep, that's it. That's the only answer.
Perfect answer. Because we talked about White Castle and emos, I guess, a few weeks ago.
Yep. You haven't had White Castle in a hot minute. Well, I take that back. I had it the night of the Ponder Cup. But, man, before that, it'd been like over a year.
I love White Castle.
Yep.
We done? We're done. Wrap it up?
Yes. Except one more thing, Kurt. And this is something you'll agree with. If you're available Friday, make sure you come out. Like we talked about at the top of the show. Ballpark Village. Do we have a time that starts officially?
6 o'clock. Starts at
6
6 o'clock. And they will have the Blues game on when it starts at 8. So there'll be lots of prizes, games, giveaways, entertainment. DJ Joe is going to put on a show, the show of shows, he says.
Yes.
And if you want to make a reservation, if there are still tables available, you can check. Reservation, you can call Cardinals Nation 314-345-9880 or use the Open Table app. Last I heard, before the show started, there were literally a couple tables left. So if you wanted to get those now. If there are no tables available, and it's free too, just reservations, no tickets needed. If all the tables are taken, show up anyway. You can go to the bar, hang out at the bar. There's 1 or 2 bars that have seats around the bar, or you can just hang out, walk around, and enjoy the party, the Christmas party.
Will be a very good time. Looking forward to it.
We will be there. Jeff and I are planning on being there. If Bill gets over his illness, he will be there. So join us there. We're having something to do with the show, with trivia, Blues trivia or something. I'm not sure, but we're involved somehow. So
yep,
we're gonna be told when we get there.
I think we'll have some Blues giveaways too. So
yes, right.
Yeah, I've got some stuff in the works. Kurt will talk after the show, but I got some things in the works that we'll be giving away as well. So will be a fun time. Hope to see you again. If you're not coming out for Let's Go Blues Radio, just come out, celebrate the holiday with us, and have a good time. It's
a Christmas party. Come on out, enjoy the entertainment. It's free to get in, and there are drink specials and stuff. So enjoy that. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockandthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockandthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockandthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer store for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode 12 of season 11 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. As we hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
I feel it's worth mentioning this. Austin just texted me a screenshot of his phone. White Castle has confirmed your order from DoorDash. Very nice, Austin.
Love it.
Everyone, hope to see you on Friday. If not, hopefully by the next time we talk to you next week, the Blues get a couple wins. Let's go Blues.
Ooh.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues.